What up, everybody? You're now tuned to the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back today with another live stream. Back in the barbershop. I got my co-host, Mr. John Reid, fresh off of retirement. Man, it's been a long career, 34 years. Seen the impact you made. So many congratulations. So many people. Told you people who telling me like, man, you knew John Reid. I didn't know. I saw he mentioned you when you retired, man. I said, yeah, man. Great mentor, great friend. I'm happy for him in his new endeavor, man. How you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good about it, man. I feel like I got the albatross off my neck. You know, it's good to go into something on your own terms and leave on your own terms, man. So I feel good about that. And, you know, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. And 3 decades of doing what I sought out to do. And, you know, I'm all forever grateful, forever appreciative of the people who helped me go through that path, man. You always need people in this world, man. You know,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of people helped me along the way, so I'm never gonna not forget about those people, man. But you know, it's like life with everything. You move on to a new challenge. And the new challenge is being a teacher, an educator, and everything I put in being a sports writer, I plan to do that as an educator. It's all good, man. I was very gracious and very thankful to all those people that gave all those wonderful shout outs. It's been a wonderful career.
Yeah, man, it was a lot, man. I was like, is he gonna be able to get to all of them? I saw you replying, and it took you a couple of days. You trying to get to them?
Took 3 days, and then I still got some, you know,
still got some left.
But you know, it was a good ride, man. I mean, to put it in perspective, it was a good ride. I learned there a lot in New Orleans. I met a whole lot of great people in New Orleans. I came here, has been here for 5 years. You know, try to be a mentor to young reporters, young black reporters, and try to get some things implemented with the Florida Times-Union relating to trying to improve their diversity. You know, I think diversity is an issue at a lot of newsrooms, and it's still an issue at the Florida Times-Union. But you can only do so much, man. You can plant the seed and hope they, make it grow, but also bring awareness that, where you at right now, you got to improve. So, I'm fortunate, man. It's like, I wasn't one of these sports writers who had everything as a young guy in the business and just, okay, you didn't have to take notes from people and you didn't have to learn. I wasn't a naturally gifted writer when I first started in this business, man. So that's why I say all the time for young people, even young people interested in this business, read the best. Read the people that you hear about on television and radio and things like that, and just try to develop your own voice. And you have to work hard at that game. There ain't no doubt about it. And that's probably the reason why I bailed out and retired, because at my age and putting in that time, and we adopted a 2-year-old, and I just don't, at some point in your life, you just got to put where you accomplish what you did with your work, but your family is all you have. And, once you reach that point, and you keep hearing that in your ear that, hey, man, do you really need to work 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year? And, what is that impacting on your family? It's like everybody got to take ownership in their own life, and you always got to make the decision that's going to be best for your family. And I just felt this is best for my family. I feel that being a teacher, and not just being a teacher, man, being a teacher on the north side where kids need mentoring, where kids need role models, a lot of these kids don't have a father figure. A lot of these kids don't know what success is. A lot of these kids don't have somebody in their life that pushing. It ain't all about smiles and handshakes and pats on the back. A lot of times it is that you have to push somebody, and you got to be. It's just like being a parent. Sometimes you got to love hard.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you got to say things that they don't want to hear. But then, like you said before we went on air, man, sometimes the ones who don't appreciate all what you're doing now, when they get older, 10 years, 15 years from now, whatever length of time it takes, those are the ones that are going to appreciate you more. And that's what this is all about, man. It's like always, I think the people in my life who had the biggest impact on me was my teachers. And I said this in the interview for that teaching job that, when I was at, Reebok got this reputation and this and that outside of the community and things. But
Yeah.
when I was my whole 3 years and I was at Reebok, man, I never had a teacher to tell me I couldn't be what I wanted to be. And when you look back on your life and you know that, hey, there could have been a lot of teachers that at that time told us that, oh, you got to go through this hurdle, you got to go through that hurdle. I don't know if you're good enough as a writer. I didn't have no teacher, and I was on the school newspaper and all that. I never had any teacher to tell me that I couldn't be what I wanted to be. And that's important, man. When you 15, 16, 17-year old, you don't need to hear somebody tell you what you can't be. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And then I think one of the because the teachers that I remember the most are the ones who were probably, they weren't the strictest, but
mm-hmm.
they always held me accountable,
Yeah,
because kids crave structure,
yeah,
and when you're able to implement that systems, order, and structure as a kid, you never forget those things, because that's how people get to where they are. They don't get to where they are by being lackadaisical and being stagnant and not having a plan, and not having a set schedule. You get there by doing things every single day and getting things done one at a time, brick by brick, and that's how it's done. So that's how I was able to remember, so many of those teachers, man. But man, I wish you the best of luck going to this. Hey, the kids today, especially these kids on the north side of Jacksonville, they need it. Especially male teachers. Male teachers are needed.
Yeah, ain't enough of us, and there's not enough black male teachers either. So
Yeah.
And life is a great thing, man. You can do whatever you want in your lifetime, man. If you want to be this, you can be that. If you want to do that, you can do that. And everybody have the same opportunity, man. There's nothing in this world say you can't be this or you can't be that. It takes a whole hell of a lot of work, but whatever you want to be and whatever your starting point is, it doesn't. I mean, you don't have to have a set date to say, okay, I got to be this certain age to be this, or I got to do this to be this. You could change your life overnight, no matter what you went through in your past and all that. So, and that's what's good about life, man. Is you pray for what you want, and you stick to it, you work to it, and you don't let nothing sway you from your path. And I follow those principles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my I said this. I've been on this path for the last 3 years, and I did it by just deciding that I wanted to do it. And had I not started on this path 3 years ago, I will not be sitting right here talking to you on this platform. So, hey, just get up, do it. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to accomplish, just do it. Decide that you want to do it. Get out there and get it done, man. It's really that simple. And find those who are already doing what you want to do, because that's one thing that's not emphasized enough is coaching. No matter what you're trying to get into, somebody who's already done it, been there, done that, coaching, teaching and things like that.
And sticking to it too, and that's another thing, man. There'd be so many obstacles in front of you. Sometimes you give up, some people give up, but man, if you stick to it, I mean, you can't learn if you don't have failure. So
Absolutely.
anything that you want in life, man, it's gonna be some nice edges and it's gonna be some rough ones. And you really get to the point where you be successful, you climb over the hurdle, and no matter what those rough edges is, you overcome them.
Yep, absolutely. So, man, we're gonna get into these topics, but we're not gonna bury the lead today. Usually we'll say football for last, but we gotta talk about football now. We're not gonna bury the lead today. And about today, the boys are back in town. Let's check out some of these guys coming in for arriving for training camp ahead of the 2022 season.
Well, that's the man right there.
Yep.
He's got a lot on his shoulders. That's what I can say. But man, I tell you what, he's a guy that's gonna. I think he's gonna handle your business.
Yep. Yep.
And,
I think so.
Trevon. What can you say?
Yeah.
But you know what, Brandon? I really feel though seeing these guys walking in. I mean, they look to me just by that video there that they look like they ready for work.
Yes, sir.
Ready for business. There ain't no side shows. You know, I always look at these videos when they reporting in and things, and I can always go back a few seasons ago when Jalen showed up in that money truck.
Oh man,
how you doing?
Hey, they gotta put that in the Jaguars' pride, man. They take that video and put it in the pride, man, because nothing's gonna top that.
I'm great, man. How are you?
Watching them working together when they didn't have to. Nobody told them they had to go to the Bahamas. Nobody told them they had to work with a defensive line coach a couple of weeks ago.
Cowboys go check it out. Ladies go check it out too. It's in right now.
And I just think that, man, I think this head coach.
Then I got God. I never lose, so it's gonna be a good year. God is great.
Man, they seem happy, seem jovial, ready to work,
upbeat, and ready to go. And that's what you need, man. You need a football team that's, they done turn the chapter. Obviously, that's the first thing. And turn the chapter over bad season, bad coaching. And this look like they coming in, they ready. I mean, look at the pepper to step on Cam Robinson, man. Cam looked like he done.
Nah, this is just a video.
Cam looked like he been working.
Looked like he been working. He stayed in shape, and it's going. I say this about the girls, man. I'm looking forward to the camp battles, man. Every one of those guys walked into that meeting, going into the stadium, the facility, know that there's nothing. You don't have nothing secured. You got to fight for everything. You got to fight to keep your starting position. There's going to be a whole lot of competition at a lot of positions. And you got a guy, Doug Peterson, that, hey man, he's not basing any judgments on what happened last year. All the stuff they did in the spring done been thrown out of the window. It doesn't matter now. As soon as they put those pads on, that's when it's going to be a new evaluation.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, from what I've seen through the OTAs, man, a guy like Jawan Taylor, if he want it bad enough, he's going to have a hell of a camp. There's some other LaVisca. LaVisca got to be a guy who he's got to show something that he's got a special talent that they got to keep around. Because if he comes and drop punts and kickoffs in practice or in those preseason games, they're going to find a trade partner very quick. And that's what it should be about. It should be about, hey, man, nobody got a set position. Everybody got to compete. It doesn't matter if you're a first-year player, rookie, third year, fourth year. You got to go out there in training camp, and you got to earn your spot. And I think that's what kind of camp it's going to be. It's going to be a camp where it's going to be hard working. It's going to start off kind of gradually build, but once those pads come on, it's going to be a lot of competition going on. Yeah. And I think Doug Peterson is a guy that wanted to mend some fences. Initially he wanted to, gain respect from these guys because it ain't what he felt. It was the truth. These guys really didn't feel from the coaching staff of the previous regime that they wasn't treated like professional players. They were treated like they were college players. There was some promises made that wasn't delivered. So Doug came in. Doug said that he had to reestablish himself. I mean, basically what he said is this team had to heal. But the healing process is gone, man. They healed. I think you're going to have a Doug Peterson that come in is going to be a tough-minded coach. I think these guys are going to be in pads a little bit more than what they thought they may be in, and there's going to be a lot of competition battles, and they're not going to be hidden in front of the cameras. I think if you covering this football team, you're going to know who's in the lead between Jawan Taylor and those guys battling at that position. And any other position battles is not going to be a secret, If it is what it is, then whoever wins, the best man win, and they're going to get judged on preseason games too. I think preseason games going to matter a little bit more than what they mattered in the past. I don't think he's going to have Trevor Lawrence playing into the third quarter, but I think there are going to be some position battles that not just the third preseason game. Some guys going to get some extended minutes. I think he want to see what they can do in game type situations, and particularly on the offensive line. I think for the life of me, I just think that's the one position that need. I wouldn't say need work, but that's just one position that I think Doug Peterson is really looking at, and he's going to get the best 5 in that group.
Yeah, it needs to be solidified.
I mean, I don't think he's coming in and saying that, okay, we got our guys, and I'm not worried about the backups. I'm worried, but I think he's going to look at that group from a whole, from backups to third team to starters, and he's going to evaluate that position consistently. And nobody got a lock position. I think Cam might have a lock position, but I think everybody else on that line is, and obviously Brandon Scherff with the money that they spent, I think he's got a lock position at right guard. But other than that, I think that's going to be one of the best battles. I think that's going to be the battles. I think you're going to see starters on the offensive line. I wouldn't put it. I don't think you'll see a lot of the predetermined starters going into that first preseason game, but I guarantee you from preseason game 2, 3, and 4, that even the final one, if there's position battles that need to be determined, I think you're going to see those guys play at least a half, particularly on that offensive line, and they're going to have some. Another thing is, Brandon, they're going to get good competition in practice, all of them, because that defensive front they got is a real deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of the guys who I want to highlight was on the back end of that defense. And after you basically called him out, saying that, hey, he needs just the way his body language was at practice, how, didn't seem like he really was like a real competitor. The same as our friend Dewey. Andre Cisco seemed to have turned the corner. We got blackandteal.com. Shout out to those guys over at Black and Teal. So it says safety Andre Cisco named Jaguars X Factor ahead of training camp. Most conversations surrounding the Jacksonville Jaguars this offseason have focused on either Trevor Lawrence or head coach Doug Peterson. However, there are other players besides the second-year quarterback that can make some noise in 2022. One of them is safety Andre Cisco, who was recently pegged as a Jags X Factor. Ben Lindsay of Pro Football Focus recently discussed the weaknesses, the strength, and the X factor for all 32 teams in the NFL, and he sees Cisco as Jacksonville's X factor. Lindsay believes the Jags could use the safety's range and ball hawk skills. Safety's Andre Cisco first start last season didn't come until week 16, but he had several strong showings in those final 3 games of the 2021 season. Cisco's range and playmaking ability were his biggest strengths coming out of Syracuse, though his aggressiveness puts him in a bad position at times. The Jaguars defense could make us use of his tools in a starting role next to Rashawn Jenkins this season. So it said back in college, Cisco appeared in 24 games and recorded 14 pass defense, 13 interceptions. However, he dealt with injuries during his last 2 seasons at Syracuse and slid to the 3rd round of last year's draft, where the Jaguars took him with the 65th overall pick. Andre Cisco can become a key cog on the Jaguars secondary in 2022. Despite the fact Cisco won't be handed the starting job next to Rashawn Jenkins, he should have no trouble earning it in training camp. He will have to beat incumbent Andrew Wingard. That's funny. Who was part of the Jaguars' defensive lineup for most of the 2021 season up until he was placed on COVID-19 reserve list with 2 games left. Cisco didn't look out of place and posted solid numbers when he became the starter from week 16 to 18, when he logged 2 pass defense, 1 forced fumble. Moreover, he nearly snagged an interception against the New York Jets in week 16. With 1 year of experience under his belt, he should be able to generate a few takeaways in 2022. And I think that of course, I think he's going to win the starting job, and I think he's going to be able to make a big impact. Because I told you when I saw him, I think it was Jakari sent me his highlight, and I said, man, he reminds me of Jalen Ramsey, but he just has better ball skills. You know, he's a ball hawk. Jalen is not much of a ball hawk, even though he can't catch the football. Andre Cisco is on another level when it comes to ball hawk skills.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think he understands that this is it. I mean, it's like you can't be a guy who was drafted that high and not start, you know. And I also think the defensive coaching staff like what he brings to the table. And I thought that he, you know, from what I saw during the OTAs and the off-season program, I mean, I thought that he performed well under the circumstance. You know, they in helmets and shorts, but you know he was in position where he was supposed to be. Coverage skills looked good. You know, didn't make no mistakes, and I think he's that. You know, and I think for a young guy like Andre Cisco, I think it's more about developing confidence. You know, and also having a staff believing in him. And I don't think the staff last year. I think that staff last year more so that, hey, you got to earn your stripe. You're a rookie, and that only thing they saw in him, he was a rookie. You know, they didn't put that barometer on him to see what his development that he, you know, by the second month of the season, he obviously had improved, and I just think they just saw the whole picture of him just being this rookie. And all the, you know, struggle. I heard that during the training camp he had problems, but most rookies would have problems.
Right.
Making the calls and those kind of things when you introducing him to a new system. And but you know, you don't judge when you look at a rookie, man, you don't view the most important thing on what he does in August and September. You do it, you know, a rookie is a situation for any rookie. You look to see what his development has gone from when he started to where he's at in November, December, like the final 2 months of the season. Yeah. And
I'll put my money on that, Dale. He said Devin Lloyd going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Going to happen. I'll put some money on that one. I don't even bet, and I'll put some money on that one.
Well, I think he's the real deal, man. On and off the field, I think Devin Lloyd is. We're going to be talking about Devin Lloyd a lot on this show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
No question. And Andre Cisco too. I think Andre Cisco is motivated, and I just don't. I can assure you this: I don't think we're going to have a guy like Dewey come in and step in and start over a guy that was, you know, 3rd round pick. I don't think that's happening.
Right. With Cisco, it was very obvious what the game plan was going into a game with the Jaguars. It didn't matter what the team was. It didn't matter what their strengths or weaknesses were. Attack Andrew Wingard. That was the game plan. Attack him with your tight ends and coverage. Attack him over there. It didn't matter what it was. Draw it up so you can attack Andrew Wingard. That was the game plan, and it worked most games. It did.
Well, it worked against Minnesota 2 years ago when they had that game won in Minneapolis. And, you know, the bottom line is on Wingard, he can't cover. He's a guy that can knock your block off. But if you got a fast tight end, they did it. If you go back and watch the Cincinnati game last year, All you got to do is have a fast tight end, isolate the tight end on single coverage on Wingard, drop him deep, let him go with the tight end going deep. 9 times out of 10, he's gonna get beat, and that's what it was. He got schemed. They just the bottom line is, hey, can we get single isolated coverage on with Wingard on our tight end, and we're gonna win that battle, and it happened.
Yeah. What up, Jakari?
So you can't have that, man. You got to have a guy who can cover, who can get some pass breakups, who can keep a guy, good enough to check him to, maneuver him so he won't run that route that he want to run. Be physical, but you got to be a cover man, and that's what Wingard is not. He's not a cover man.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some other things he's not either, but it is what it is, man. There's some reasons why Jag was 3-13, 1-15, 6-11. There's a reason. But you cannot be in a situation, and I guarantee you, Brandon, this defensive coordinator is not going to have a liability on his defense and don't do nothing about it. He's not. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jakar said,
get beat twice. You're not going to get beat 3 times and be on the field.
No, absolutely not. So Jakar said, I work with Josh Thompson's dad. I'm excited about him. Oh yeah. You work with Josh Thompson's dad. That's what's up, Jakar. Let me see. He say Cisco should have been starting last year. Period. Yeah, he should have been. Say no way Wingard is any way better than Cisco ever.
Yeah,
Cisco going to lead the team in turnovers. I can definitely see that. Yeah, I can see that. I can see him leading the team in takeaways.
He's a ball hawk. He's always around the ball, and I think he's going to have a great season. Man, they need him to have a great season. I like to see him blitz. I like to see him in different type of packages that they're going to come up with, where he he make the both. He make the best of the situation. He wins the one-on-one battles. He gets the contested ball battles and that kind of things. He takes advantage of his athleticism, and and be that. I mean, he needs to be the guy. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I really like this defense. It's young. It hasn't gotten his reputation yet, but their front seven to me is top 10 caliber, and I'm gonna say that on the record. They got depth, they got edge rushers, they got inside with size, and they got great line. I mean, these linebackers is the real deal, man. They might be young, but I'll put Devin Lloyd against anybody.
Right. Who did I say sent me Andre Cisco's highlight tape? Didn't I say Jakari? See, Jakari, you late to the party. You talking about who put you on Cisco, B. I already name dropped you. I already gave you your credit, Jakari. Look at Jakari. See there? Look, see. You my dude. I give you credit, man. I told you, Jakari, you sent me the tape, and what I said, he looks like Jalen Ramsey to me, just a better ball hawk. Yeah.
But that's what they need.
First day of training camp is tomorrow.
Yeah. Reporting day was today. Training camp tomorrow. They start at 8:50.
Yep. He said, we ready for this defense, brothers. We're taking a huge jump as a defense and as a team. Absolutely. He said that front seven is going to make the back end even better. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so as well. I think they'll definitely be able to get to the quarterback. Oh, one of the things I want to highlight, you brought up Devin Lloyd. And I say he's already making an impact in the community, so I wanted to highlight that real quick because I think I saw you tweet out the story first when they posted it. So Jaguars rookie linebacker Devin Lloyd is already making an impact in the Jacksonville community. So it said back in April, Jacksonville Jaguars selected Devin Lloyd out of Utah with the number 27 overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft. The team traded up to get back into the first round in order to land Lloyd, sending picks number 33, number 106, and number 180 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Given the Jaguars' willingness to trade away several draft picks to get Lloyd, Jacksonville's brass, namely head coach Doug Peterson and general manager Trent Baalke, amongst others, clearly believe that Lloyd will be a difference maker on and off the field. While Jaguar fans will still have to wait a little bit longer to see what Lloyd's capable of on the field at the NFL level, he is already making an impact in the Jacksonville community. Says no rookie has done more community events before the season started than Devin Lloyd, telling us, "I'm on this earth to make a difference." Lloyd hosting his first football camp at NAH Jacks. Both his parents were in the military growing up. Check out a little bit of this right here.
Get coach stick. When I blow the whistle, you hit your thigh one time. When I blow the whistle, one time on the thigh. Okay. Relax.
Yeah, that got me fired up. I'm ready to get out there. He said on Wednesday. On Wednesday, Lloyd hosted a youth football camp at Naval Air Station, Jacksonville. Since arriving in Jacksonville, Lloyd has been heavily involved in the community. No rookie has done more community events before the season started than Devin Lloyd. Ashley Sullivan, the team reporter for the Jaguars, said in the tweet, Lloyd told Sullivan, "I'm on this earth to make a difference." While Lloyd may ultimately end up being a valuable player in the middle of the defense for the Jaguars, the connections he's building off the field are just as impressive as his ability on the field.
Well, I'll tell you what. I saw him firsthand. It was like third week in June, and the Jaguars hosted a Special Olympics. Like they had a Special Olympics fantasy camp, and these kids got the Jaguar jerseys. They had their locker room. They were in the visitors' locker room, and man, just seeing that they had them on the field. They went through drills, but just seeing. Devin Lloyd, the way he was interacting with these kids, man, and throwing passes to them, and it just seemed like he's got a connection with children. That they make them feel at ease, that they can, enjoy themselves, and they getting this experience from an NFL player. And it just seemed from what I saw in that one event that, man, it just seemed like he was having just as much fun as the kids were. Yeah. And that's what you want, man. You want a young guy to come in here and impact Jacksonville. A guy who wants to be here. He seems to be that guy. He's got that connection with the military, with his parents. And he just, something else that impressed me about him, man, it just seemed like from the day one, I can recall his first press conference, and he wanted the playbook. He wasn't joking. It's like, man, I need a copy of that playbook, and he telling Doug Peterson this. I said,
we might have some issues on his side. See, hopefully he come back. Say winning mindset equal winning culture. Now's the time to know and believe, not hope and think. Absolutely. It seems like there's been a winning culture. Let me see if he come back. Hopefully come back. He's having an issue. But yeah, winning mindset, man. Already it seems that just from watching them come to training camp, we watched the video earlier. You go back in the stream and check the video out of them coming into training camp. They look hyped, they look jovial, they look ready to go. Just the overall atmosphere. A lot of them look like they're in really good shape, especially Cam Robinson. He's looking svelte, look like he's ready to go. But I'm excited, man. I've been excited for Jaguar seasons, but I don't know, this one I'm very excited about it. It's a new beginning, and anytime you can remove what I would call a cancer, I think you get better automatically. I don't think it really matters. What we got better addition by subtraction. So we got better because we got rid of the cancer. Automatically, we got better that day. We got better. So I know automatically we're gonna be better.
What was the cancer? What got cut out?
Yeah. We got cut out. He got cut out. So Mr. What they call him, Mr. Urban Liar.
We ain't got to worry about him no more, man.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. The fact that I like Doug Peterson's staff. Actually, I like Doug Peterson. I mean, I think the connection. Former quarterback coach, Super Bowl champion head coach, and he's going to be calling the offensive plays. He seems to have a good relationship with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence seems to like him. So, right, even just from that alone is more than what you can say what happened last year at this same time with Urban Meyer. So, and I think that these guys are ready. They're tired of being losers. When you're tired of being losers, you're going to do extra stuff. You're going to show up in Jacksonville a month before training camp and work. You're going to go to the Bahamas and not just to, swim and surf or whatever they were doing. Mm-hmm. You're going to go to the Bahamas to bond. You're going to go to the Bahamas to catch passes. And you're going to, as a receiver, you got to get to know your quarterback. And that's what both basically had the entire receivers room was in the Bahamas like 2 weeks ago. And when you get that stuff, man, when you got guys doing things on their own, they're not being told by the coaching staff. They're doing it on their own. They're doing it because they're tired. They're tired of being the laughing stock of the league. They want to be a special group, and in order to be a special group, it takes that type of stuff, man. It takes a lot of connections, and it ain't just X and O's and okay, we're gonna work hard in training camp and we're gonna do this and this stuff gotta start before the even first snap, a practice which starts tomorrow. And you gotta have a bond, successful teams have a bond. Look at them, man. These guys that's what starts winning right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about right there from that picture. Nobody told those guys you got to go to Bahamas and work out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
absolutely.
what it's all about. That's where you start winning wins right there.
I don't even want to see or hear post-game presses and the coaches or anyone saying shit like that. We'll try again next week. We weren't just good enough today. They were just better than us today. That stuff is garbage and is not part of a winning culture ever. Yeah, I remember they would give grief to Cam Newton when he first came into the league, because Cam Newton, he said it. He said, I don't want to hear that, we'll get him next time, or no, we'll be better. He said, no, I want to get it today. He said, because I'm a winner and I win, and they gave him grief about that. And I'm like, what do you want him to say? Good luck next time. No, come on, man.
And he's right. When that statement, what Dale Brown said right there, if you don't have confidence, you can have confidence, but it's got to be consistent. You got to have confidence when you playing the Cowboys. The same confidence if you playing the Titans and the Houston Texans. You got to have confidence that you got to go in that game and believe in. That, hey, man, we 2 touchdowns better than this team. Even if you're playing the Cowboys, you may not be 2 touchdowns better, but it damn sure better be in your locker room that you got people in there saying that you 2 touchdowns better than this team, and there ain't no quit in you, and you don't give up, and you fight till the end. Those have been the things that have been lacking with these Jaguar teams in the past, man. They get behind in the game early. And it's like, they're not going to wave a white sign, but you can tell from the body language on the sideline that they done lost the confidence. That game in Tennessee last year when they lost 20-0, the Urban Meyer final game. I mean, you can look on the sideline after the first series to say that these guys ain't in that fight. The Rams in L.A.
They quit.
They quit. No confidence, no fight, no nothing. I don't think you're going to see this out this team. And if you do see guys that quit, you'll see them on the sideline. They won't be on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that was with Blake Bortles. I told you, you could tell what kind of game Blake was going to have by his body language and the way he looked. If he had that head down, the slumped shoulders, and he done made a mistake, I said, "Oh yeah, it's a wrap. He's not going to have a good game."
And I say this, Brandon, man, for an we're just retired sports writer, I judge things on, well, should I go buy a ticket to see these guys? Is it going to be worth my money to buy a ticket to go see these guys? Hey, it's right now. I know that they start tomorrow and all that. If it was up to me right now, I think they're good enough to go buy a ticket to see them play. If nothing else is the defense alone. They're not going to be in these games next year. This upcoming season, where they get down by a touchdown, and the next thing you look up, they down by 3. It ain't gonna happen like that. If they lose, they're gonna lose at the end. Like they're gonna lose, fourth quarter drive they gave up or something like that. A big play at the end or something like that. But they're gonna fight through the end. And that's been another problem with this team. They hadn't had that fight where they in the game when it matters. Fourth quarter. But I think that this group here, I think that one of the best attributes that they got right now, particularly on that defensive side, you're going to get a fight. You're going to see a team that fight to the end. And that's, character guys, upgrade of talent. And I think, I know we haven't spoken a lot about it yet, but, I think Trevor Lawrence got a lot to prove, man. I think
he does.
I think that this is the year that, you look at this kid, he's been successful at every level that he's played on, and he really wasn't successful last year. He played good in spurts, but he didn't have a typical good year. Too many interceptions and other problems. But I tell you what, just looking at his demeanor, even walking in there to that facility this morning, and just his whole demeanor during the all-season program, it just seems to me like he's got a chip on his shoulder, man. It's like he not doing all this. He's done a little interviews, but he's not chirping. He's like, we're going. I want you receivers. When he was on the field on some of those practices, he's calling in the receivers. I want you to do this. I want you to go this way. Ball be there. And I think that's the Trevor you're going to see that's different. His leadership capability is going to shine. I thought they shined last year, but I think this is a year that you're going to see this kid make plays consistently, not just, oh man, did you see that throw? And then the next throw is to the ground. I don't think you're going to see a Trevor Lawrence like that this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about a little bit of offensive side of the ball before we move on to the next topic. With Trevor Lawrence, one of the things I've seen highlighted from him was his pocket presence. That's what a lot of the people talking about him, and they broke down his rookie season, and that's one of the things he was exceptional at was his pocket presence and his ability to move his feet in the pocket, and even some of the interceptions that he threw. Dude, a couple of those receivers were not where they were supposed to be.
Right.
Especially, I know it was one where he had Jamal Agnew ran the wrong route, Tavon Austin ran the wrong route, and you go back and see him looking at it, talking to him, and a lot of those mistakes. I think once he started to make those mistakes early, because he went a month without throwing a touchdown, he stopped. He didn't take any chances. He didn't try to make plays. He just, he kind of got a little scarce or whatever. So, but he saw that didn't work. So he said, okay, I can't gamble so much, but I can't be conservative. So he got to find that fine line where it's times where you can gamble, and as long as you're right more times than you're wrong. A coach has no issue with you gambling, but you got to be right more than you're wrong, And then there's times where you're going to have to be conservative. Hey, dump the ball down. It ain't there. Take what the defense gives you, and I'm pretty sure that's what Derek Houston is coaching to him right now.
And I think that's the problem last year, man. I think there was too much of cuddling. There was too much of not knowing what the right buttons to push with Trevor. You go back to the Houston game, the first Houston game, the opening game of the season, and there was, first thing come to mind to me is that wasn't getting the ball downfield enough and that was the biggest problem the whole season. He didn't throw the ball downfield enough. And I'm talking about long, deep shots. He didn't have receivers to get there, but still taking shots. And I just think you got an experienced coaching staff. You know what his strengths are. You know what he can do well at, what he can't do well at. I think they addressed the biggest problem. He's got a check down guy now. He's got he don't have to hold the ball. He can check it down and get it to Ingram. Get the ball out of his hand, Etienne. Yeah, and make and get out of the way and watch him make plays. I think he's a playmaker. And I think he's got offensive weapons that can help him be a better playmaker. But I think that was the biggest problem last year. I didn't think they had the right buttons when they needed to push. And he was more restricted than it was almost like he was being coached. And he's looking over his shoulder of what he can't do. And I think you have to have an offense. And I know that was a mistake last year early on. You got to fit your offense around his strengths and weaknesses. You got to let him be him. If I was them last year, I would have done the same thing that Clemson did. You put him in a position to be successful based on the things that he was successful that last year at Clemson. But I think all that is behind him, and I think he's got a year grown. He's mature. He know what he did. Need improvement on what didn't work, what worked. And I think you won't see this kid make the same mistakes he made a year ago.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think so either. One of the guys that I'm really, really excited to see, because we were robbed of his rookie year, and that's, of course, Travis Etienne. I think he's going to have a huge impact. I'm picking him up in fantasy. I know some people are going to overdraft him. So hopefully I don't want to overdraft him, but I got to get him. I got to get him on my team, man. But he looks good, man. He looks ready to go.
Yeah, look at them cuts, man. Don't look like nothing wrong with that list, Frank.
Nope.
He ain't got a list Frank problem no more. That's for sure. Yeah, I called him. I tweeted out something, man. I thought he was the MVP of the whole offseason program.
Yeah.
He looked good every day. He didn't look like he was favoring his foot or any of that kind of stuff. And I just looking at the speed and the way that he was moving his feet. To me, looked like even back in April and May, he looked like he was back 100% even then. And if you get him back at 100%, and he do anything that he did, the way he performed at Clemson, they got something special, man. And then another thing about him, he's driven, man. He understood what happened last year. First round pick, missed the entire season, bad season at that. And he's got a chip on his shoulder, man. This kid know what success is. He lived it and breathed it when he was at Clemson, and he want to be in the spotlight for good things. You don't want to be in the spotlight because, he had a list Frank injury in the second preseason game, and, he's standing on the sideline watching. He don't want to go out like that. So,
no,
whatever going on with him, he's motivated, and he's got top speed. He's got breakaway speed. He can catch passes out of the backfield. And there's so many different ways that they can utilize Etienne, man. He's a weapon every time he's on the field, basically.
Yeah. And I think we're going to get more out of the wide receiver group than people probably think. The group itself, they wanted to add an X receiver, and they didn't do that. I thought they will go and get another guy, namely, especially when George Pickens was still on the board. I thought they might go get him. But they decided not to, and I trust the process. They didn't go get him or whatever. But they'll be able to get some more receivers. But I think as a group, I think this group is better than last year's group, no doubt about it, top to bottom. Yeah, so I think they'll get more production.
A better group. They get along better. They pushing each other better, and they understand. This group understand that we got a quarterback that needs to take, he needs to take the jump. and we got to be the group that help them, basically.
Yeah.
Well, we got to be that group that gets them over the threshold, and a lot is going to be on our shoulders, man. I mean, you got to score in this league, man. You can't score 14 points a game like last year and expect to win. So you got to get some downfield shots, and you got to get in the end zone. Even for a guy like Marvin Jones, I think Marvin Jones is a great leader. He can get open, but he got to get in the end zone. He got to get in the end zone more. And the same with the rest of them. You know, Laviska, I think a lot of pressure is on Laviska Shenault, and it should be. You know, I mean, you're a professional. You haven't lived up to your expectations as a draft pick. And now the clock is ticking. And you should be whatever ounce of it. You know, a lot of people was shocked that he was one of the few veterans that showed up for the mandatory minicamp when all the rest of the veterans were, didn't have to report.
Urgency. He understands.
That he understands, and he even said it that I gotta find my niche on this team, because if he doesn't, he ain't gonna be a Jaguar. Whether they trade him or I don't think they'll cut him, but I think there's interest out there. But he's got to produce, man. Whatever it is, punt returner, kick returner, some guy in the slot, on the outside, get some handoffs in the backfield, whatever it is, you got to make plays. You got to be a playmaker on this team to earn that roster spot. And he knows it.
Yeah. Now, I haven't seen the Devin Lloyd video, Dale. They say, it looked like the guy in the background looked like it was sped up, and the guy in the background might be really slow. Now, I haven't seen that video. Also, I don't know what they'll say. He said, I'm saying 10-7. He said, but I expect 17-0.
No.
Yeah. Hey, I say 8-9 wins is a good ceiling for this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say 7, 8, or 9 is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Just be in playoff contention after Thanksgiving. I mean, that's what you want. I say this, Brandon. The one problem I have in my hometown is that the expectations at this point of the year, particularly July, start of training camp, I think a lot of it is created by that radio station, but I think there's too much optimism. I think there's too much. I mean, I think you have to have a situation where, are they good enough to get 6 wins? Yeah. Are they good enough to get 7? Yeah. Are they good enough to get 8? Maybe. Are they good enough to get 9?
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's tough.
But it's not to say it ain't possible, but I'll say this. That video you got right there, where those guys, this was July, the end of June, or whenever this video came out?
Yeah.
That's what makes you get 8, 9, 10 wins in a season. Right there. You got to start in June, July, doing what you're doing right there. And look at it. If you look at that video, look how many guys are out there. It ain't 1 or 2 either.
No.
See Josh Allen over there. Yeah. I see the number 1 pick over there.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what breeds winning right there.
Yep. Yeah, and then one of the things about Devin Lloyd, that Utah played against USC, and they had him at defensive end, and he wrecked the game at defensive end.
So you think that speed up, though? You think, man, them hands are moving, boy. He like Ali out there, ain't it?
Yeah.
You think that speeded up, or you think that's real time?
Nah, that's real time right there, man. There's no doubt about it. That's real time.
Boy, look at that right there, boy.
Yeah. Hey, that's hand placement is everything, man. You keep that. If a lineman can't get his hands on you, he can't block you. That's just all he can do is hold.
Look at
all he can do is try to hold you.
This dude is good, man. I don't know how they did it, but they got a superstar at that linebacker spot, man. This dude is good, man.
Yeah, absolutely. He said, "Are we going to throw JR away like we don't want him anymore?" I said, "JR,
who's that?"
Yeah, who JR? Who you talking about? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think about who he's talking about. He said, that's not the video I seen. He's running around the rings. Oh, that video. I think I have. I think I have. I'm going to see if I can find that video where he running around the rings. Yeah, I know. I think I know what you're talking about. You talking about, he said, that's sped up Photoshop. Hey, that ain't sped up, man. Hey, because I'm going to show you the other video, too, because this is another one with Trayvon Walker doing the same thing. Let's see, but the one with the rings, yeah, I think I'm trying to find that one. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, who's gonna block Trayvon?
Yeah,
coming off the edge at outside linebacker.
Yeah,
he gonna present a lot of problems for offensive lines, man.
Yes, he is.
The one thing I missed, boy, I wish I could be there to watch the first day of pads. That's gonna be some good contact.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see the sped up. But yeah, ain't nobody gonna block 44. Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. I think that just this rookie class we got, I think it's gonna be good. And even Chad Muma.
Yeah.
I think they'll find a role for him as well, because Chad Muma is a great player as well. You know,
got to get him on the field, man. I don't know where is that.
Yeah, I don't know where it's at.
You got to put some packages in there. He's big, he's physical, and he can hit. You don't have that combination standing on the sideline. Not with this team.
You know? No, absolutely not. You say nobody gonna block 41. Oh, 41. Yeah, speaking of 41, let me see if I can find it. So you seen that NFL, they're all doing their alternate uniforms, their alternate helmets that they're going to wear, at certain games this year. And everybody's been talking about, the Texans did their battle red helmet. Of course, the coldest one I saw, the Bengals listened to their fans when somebody did an edit of them with the white helmet, and they got the white helmet, and they're going to do the white alternate helmet. And I think that's the best looking one so far. I saw the Cardinals unveil theirs today. But Jacksonville don't even have to reveal nothing new. Hey, go retro, baby. Go retro. The old Jaguars, whether it's the jerseys, the helmets, go retro. That's what the fans want. That's what we're all talking about. Just go retro. You see, I had saved an edit of
that teal helmet. I seen that on Twitter. I like that teal helmet.
Oh yeah. Shoot, it's a white helmet too, and it has the crawling Jaguar on it. That I was like, man, you could bring that one in. Yeah, it was all they got to do is go retro. That's all you got to do. Oh, and another one, the Madden has been unveiling their rankings for the different players, like they did the running backs, the quarterbacks, every position they did their speed, catching ability. But the one that was interesting was the defensive line, and they did the defensive line toughness. And, of course, Aaron Donald led the way with 97 toughness. But guess who was number 5 on the list of toughness with a 94, and it had Jaguar fans just in a tizzy. They couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. I couldn't. I don't even know if I'm going to play Madden with that guy at number 5 on there.
Right. Dude, they had Taven Bryan 5th in toughness at a 94. Craziness. But hey, this right here, dude, could you imagine Josh Allen in that for real? Come on, man. You got to bring that back.
Yeah, especially, man, the pants, the stripe on the side, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think that looks super great in a teal helmet, though.
Oh, yeah. He said, so you already forgot about your starting running back. Oh, okay. You talking about James Robinson. Of course, we haven't forgot about James Robinson. I saw him show up for training camp. Well, the thing is, how effective is he going to be coming off this injury? I think that they can be a very, very good tandem. No doubt about it. I think he comes back and he's healthy, they're going to be a great tandem. But James Robinson, long as James comes back healthy, you should be set at running back, at least for the next couple of seasons.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw a video with him cutting, when he was cutting. I still say, I don't know if he's gonna. I would predict his return could be mid-August, end of August. Be interesting to see if he plays in that game against Pittsburgh. I believe that's the third preseason game. But I think they're going to bring him along gradually, man. I watched him cutting, but he was cutting, but it was 3/4 speed.
Yeah.
But that injury is just so tough to come back from over a shortened period of time. And I think I really feel the Jaguars, even if they have to force it, to don't rush him too quickly.
Yeah.
For the sake of, his career depends on it. Don't rush him quicker than what he needs to come back.
Yeah, and there's no need to. Bring him along slowly. I think ETN can carry the mail for you. Snoop Connor, can be, he'd be the backup for the time being.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no need to rush him back. But yeah, so man, we're gonna wrap up the Jags talk right there. Say we could play both running backs at the same time in the backfield with JR and ETN. I honestly too, I want to see Laviska carry the ball too.
Me too.
I want to see.
What?
I want to see it. I think he can do it.
I want to see him in the backfield. Not, I don't want to see all the jet sweeps, and I want to see him go up the middle, off tackle, get a couple of carries in a series, and let's see. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
Especially now, you can bring, with their situation, Snoop Connor, good addition, but he's a rookie, so. You might need a second, third guy at running back until James Robinson get back. And what's the harm? He's a physical runner. He's a gifted athletically. And I'm like you. I like to see him stay at running back for a series. And let's see. Yeah. Even if it's the preseason. They play Atlanta the fourth preseason game. Let's see him when they have when they practicing against each other. Let's see what he can do in that practice and put him in a game. See what happens. You need impact players in all positions. So, nothing wrong with adding another string to your roster.
Might as well.
Get all what you can out of this guy. And that's what they need to do.
Absolutely.
Some jet sweeps and in around plays. I want to see this guy go north and south. I don't want to see him going east and west. I want to see him go up the middle, off tackle, run north and south, and let him see him try to run over some linebackers.
Yep. So man, we're gonna wrap it up right there. Can't wait for the Jaguars to kick off. Can't wait. Hall of Fame game, see him in action, man. Football is right around the corner, fellas. I know you feel it, and ladies, for them ladies who watching, football is right around the corner, man. I can't wait. We only see me like a few short days away from the Hall of Fame game, and then it's football until February, mid-February.
Yeah, football.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Can't wait. But man, we're gonna stay in football. We're gonna talk about Ben Roethlisberger. So, I've said it plenty of times, and we've talked about it, and we went over it. And this is one of the things. As a matter of fact, my cousin Toby, I was talking to him yesterday, and he said the exact same thing you said. Guys don't know when to let it go, and they're not used to not being in the spotlight. So they have to do things and say things to stay in the spotlight. He said those exact words. I said, that's the same thing that you said. They don't know when to let it go. And Ben is not able to let it go because Ben feels like he can still play. Ben feels like he's been forced out. But I got news for Ben Roethlisberger. There's a lot of players who can feel like they can still play who's been forced out. One of the greatest Steelers of all time felt like he was forced out, and that was Troy Polamalu. So you're not immune to that. Nobody's above the cut. They had to pay you top quarterback money for a guy who can't throw the ball consistently anymore. You know, he had his moments, but he can't consistently throw the ball down the field anymore. That was their faults. And he's attributing only 3 playoff wins in their last, 10 years or so to coddled NFL players. Ben, I got news for you. Just like the Saints, and while the Saints hadn't won because they had one of the best teams as far as rosters is concerned in the last 5 years, a stacked roster. The reason they didn't win and couldn't advance was because Drew Brees' arm was pretty much gone. The same reason the Steelers couldn't get over the hump, Ben, is because your arm was gone. And you have a huge contract, and they can't keep bringing in talent because they got to stay under the cap. So not just you, it's not just you. It's a lot of factors, but you were a part of why y'all didn't win playoff games. But he's attributing it to players being coddled today. Can you believe that?
No, I can't believe it. And we done talked about this before, Brandon. I mean, I think, I guess for me being retired, I guess I can talk about it too, man. And sometimes you gotta let it go, man. You gotta get out of the spotlight, accept the fact that there's others in the spotlight, and you just got to be the guy to sit in the reclining chair and just enjoy something else other than being in the spotlight and being in the focal point. And I just think that a lot of times, like a guy like him, he can't accept that no more. It's gonna take time to accept the fact that he's not in the game, he's not the center of attention, and he's creating news just to be in the center of attention. And we talked about this yesterday. Ben was talking about retirement when the Jaguars beat them twice in that season in 2017. He was talking about it after the game that they lost, that 30-9 or whatever it was, and they got blowed out up there in Pittsburgh. He was talking about his wife and concern about the concussions, and he's got to think about retirement, and it kept on. I mean, and as you say, when you get old, you get old. There's no turning around the fact when Father Time comes, it comes. You don't have the rifle arm anymore. You can't lead that team to 13 wins and get them in a Super Bowl no more. But if for some reason guys who retire, they like to throw shade over guys who's playing for whatever reason, and they don't accept their fate. You had a great career, man. You won Super Bowl. You changed your life around. You got in some bad mess, and you redirected your focus, and you turn your situation in from a negative to a positive. But just to be in the news because you want to speak out because you're not in the spotlight anymore, and then you want to trash the players that's playing. I mean, that's not the way you do it, man. Just enjoy your. And I say this a lot, like Charles Barkley. It happens in all the sports that you either talk too much about your career that's 20 years ago, and you got a new generation of fans that were babies, probably weren't even born when you bringing up all this stuff up in a regular conversation. And it's just because you just can't let it go. You can't accept the fact that it's over. You got to find something else with your time. And I say this, man, I don't understand a guy like Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, I feel, look, you gave your body and soul to the game. What more else does the game owe you? Nothing. I mean, let it go. I mean, enjoy it. Go back at home. Look at all the clippings. Look at the trophies you won. Look at your Super Bowl ring that you won, and enjoy it. And put it in the treasure chest, and then just be thankful that you got this family that you can spend your time with, and you can tell your kids what you accomplished. And that's what it's all about. And there's no more you can do.
True. That's like during the season, they played against the Vikings, and Dalvin Cook absolutely destroyed. I think he had like 200 yards rushing. He was killing them, and they were up by a lot. And then Pittsburgh came storming back, and they almost won the game. And everybody's, oh man, that was one of the greatest games. They almost came back, and Ben was excellent down the stretch. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah, he was excellent down the stretch, but for the first 3 quarters, he was the reason they were down because he didn't play well. Yeah. I say, yeah, he had no he had little margin for error down the stretch, so he had to be perfect because he was crap for 3 quarters, man. So I just look at it differently. But man, let's get into this article. It said, so in case you didn't notice, this past week, Ben Roethlisberger injected his name into the Pittsburgh Steelers newswire after giving the Post-Gazette's Ron Cook an interview to talk about his life in retirement. He said in the interview, Roethlisberger talked openly about a lot of topics: leadership of the team, the front office desire or lack thereof for him to return in 2021, new Steelers quarterbacks, his favorite Steelers moment, and plenty more. And people think that the players being coddled and leadership of the team, that's a thinly veiled shot at Mike Tomlin. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of people think as well, because that's coaching. So they feel like he's taking a shot at him. So he said, for the average Steeler fans, this was a fantastic glimpse into Roethlisberger's mind, but for me, it was another eye-rolling moment for the former Steelers quarterback. Yes, even as a fan of Roethlisberger, I have grown extremely tired of these type of interviews. I understand that it was how Roethlisberger used to try and communicate and motivate his teammate, but it resulted in a faceplant more than it did a success. When you think back to Roethlisberger's weekly spot on local sports radio, it almost always resulted in headlines, and very few of them were deemed positive. At first glance, Roethlisberger's interview seemed innocent. Then, as I kept reading, I kept wondering why Roethlisberger even took the interview. Sure, he has good relationship with Cook, but if Cook sends Roethlisberger a text message, it could look something like this. RC, hey, Ben, was wondering if you'd be willing to do an interview with the Steelers reporting to camp next week. Hey, Ron, I hope all is well, but I'm going to politely decline. I don't want to take away from the 2022 team, maybe later in the year or next offseason. Instead, what we got were quotes like these, in which, in my opinion, were cringeworthy. And yes, they were. So on the team's 3 playoff wins since 2010, I feel like the game has changed. I feel like people have changed in the sense, maybe it's because I got spoiled when I came in. The team was so important. It was all about the team. Now it's about me and this, that, and the other. I might be standing on the soapbox a little bit, but that's my biggest takeaway from when I started to the end. It turned from a team first to a me type attitude. It was hard. It's hard for these young guys too. Social media, they're treated so well in college. Now this new NIL stuff, which is unbelievable, they're treated so special. They're coddled at a young age because college coaches need them to win too. I know Terry Hepner never coddled me at Miami of Ohio, and neither did Bill Cowher. And whose name is missing from that? Mike Tomlin. So he's taking shots at Mike Tomlin for this as well. See, this right here is cringeworthy, Ben, because now you have no accountability in your lack of playoff wins since 2010. Yeah. When are you going to talk about your play, Ben? This is the stuff I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is what happens with retired guys. They speak in riddles. They throw out some things they pissed off at, but they ain't man enough to say what they want to say, but just say it in riddles. Yeah. And that's why you just need to get out of the spotlight, man. Because at this point, the Steelers don't care. Whatever he says, it has nothing to do with this upcoming season at all. Yeah. He got like 5 minutes of glory. Yeah, you heard what he said. Once training camp starts, it's a new storyline, and Ben ain't in it. Ben ain't part of the storyline no more. And that's what it is. You basically you say what you say. It's recorded. It's documented. 2 days later, ain't nobody talking about it.
No. I'm pretty sure there's not many people talking about it. It may get a little run next week early, but by Wednesday next week, this story will be gone. And nobody really be talking about it. And the only time they'll reference it, they may reference it lightly here and there, and only if he do another interview and compound on this and add to this.
And you get a react. If Tomlin want to answer the question, I'm sure it might be asked, and I'm sure he's probably not.
That's the only way you give it. If Tomlin give it life, that's the only way it stay relevant.
Yep. He's done, man. I mean, that's the bottom line. You know, he done had his run. He's got his little story. He's throwing shade on Tomlin. And then the season start, and who cares?
Yeah.
You know, basically it.
Yeah.
Go
So it
back
says,
and then it's recliner, just like me and you, and watch football on TV.
there you go. That's it. So he said on the front office when he returned in 2021, he said it was mostly Kevin Colbert. He was ready to move on. I think Mike Tomlin was a little ready to move on, but I think he was okay with me coming back. I think Mr. Art Rooney really wanted me to come back last year to play. I thought I went out on my terms. I never wanted to stay too long. I know some people might think I did. You stayed last year, but I thought I played pretty well last year, to be honest. My arm feels like it can still go out and play. I'm pretty confident I can still play, but it's every day. It's mental, not having to prepare for camp, and the season has been the biggest blessing for me. I'm fine with where I'm at with everything. If you were fine with where you at with everything, then you wouldn't be saying these things. If you were fine, yeah, this coming off as bitter and sour grapes. He say so on the Super Bowl 45 loss. He said that was tough. It still stings. We lost Marquise Pouncey right before that game. I still think, what if he's able to play? He's such a different playmaker for us. I look back at it and think, man, I know some Packers. I have talked to them. We were starting to make a little bit of a run driving down the field. They were nervous. A couple of guys was like, here they go. It would have been fun to see what would happen if Rashard Mendenhall hadn't fumbled. Yeah. You say the above quotes will be deemed as pretty harmless by a vast majority of fans, but my question remains, why even take the interview? Sure, he just retired last season, but do you think someone like Hines Ward, Troy Polamalu, or even Heath Miller took those same requests after they retired? The answer is no. Ward took a job with the NBC after his retirement and gave his opinion on the Steelers, but Roethlisberger once again injecting himself into the conversation as the team prepares for training camp just seems odd. If I'm being completely honest, it feels desperate, a call for attention. That's exactly what it is. To an extent, I get it. Roethlisberger has been getting geared up for training camp at this time of year for the last 18 years. It has to be weird for him to now get acclimated to life without football. At some point, Roethlisberger will just fade into the background and become just another former player, but it seems the 18-year franchise quarterback isn't ready to do that yet. Will he ever? That's certainly debatable. I just hope it happens sooner rather than later. And yeah, and this is where, God, I don't want you to talk, man. Stop talking, because what it does is it overshadows what you accomplished on the field. It overshadows your greatness. You know that whole and he's not. And this is the thing. I could see if Terry Bradshaw or some of the older players from yesteryear come off like this, as but dude, you just got done and you sound like an old man yelling at the clouds already. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, I always say, man, guys ought to just think before you speak. And when you speak, don't try to sound better, man. Because it's almost to me like he's sounding like he's second guessing whether or not he should have retired. And what's done is done, man. They done moved on. You done moved on. And, I just think the best way to buy out is just buy out, get the glory, and just stay away from the game, man. It don't serve any purpose by airing your I should have did this. I don't like the way the guys are now. I mean, come on, man. You ain't like you sitting there 5 years retired and you wasn't part of this show. I mean, you just retired. So the game ain't changed that much over 7-8 months. And I just think it's a guy who just craved for the spotlight, and just like toward the end of the story, it's about what is Ben going to do. First time 18 years, not going to camp, and that's exactly what this is all about. He's venting. He's venting because he's not going to camp. He's venting because the Steelers hadn't asked him to come back. Who knows? They hadn't thrown a wheelbarrow of money at him to say, come back, we need you. We don't have a quarterback. We've been searching for one. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. Ben, just go peacefully into that good night. And if you want to commentate and get on NBC or ESPN, Fox Sports, or whatever you want to do, go ahead and do that. But please, just let the kids have their time. Don't take away from the young people today. Let them have their shine, because what you're doing is you're upset that you didn't get what they're getting. You're upset that you didn't get the NIL deals. Anytime I hear them talk bad about the NIL deals, all I hear is, I didn't get the money that I should have got when I was in college. Yeah, that's what I hear. Let these guys have their time. The game is different today. It's not going to be the same. So what?
And that's it, man. That's a lot of the bitterness. And even when you got, even the NBA guys, it crosses all the sports. You got guys bitter in the NBA because the guys now are making more money. I mean, you look at James Harden. He just redid his deal, and he's getting $33 million for 1 year, and he can go back into free agency and double the money. Well,
Yeah.
they couldn't do that in the 90s. You got guys now, college guys, that, man, if I was in school now,
yeah,
and the school could pay me, and it seems like it's unfair. I came
Absolutely.
up in an era that these young guys now are getting paid to play college football, and they're mad. And it's like this, man. Nothing in life gonna always stay the same, Whatever the generation before paved the way for this new generation, and it's gonna continue like that. Just the way life is. Things get better. We had this conversation, I think, 2 weeks ago. You always want your children to have a better life than you, and it's the same with the game. If you're a professional athlete, you want the game to evolve. You don't want it to be the same as it was in 1960.
Right.
You look at medical history. It's some guys back in the 60s, they had a knee injury and it ended their career. Well, the same injury happened now. They back on the field in a week. But you don't hear Gail says around here, man, I wish I was in this era. You didn't hear him for the last 30 years talk about that. And that's just the way it is, man. It's just like you can't do nothing about father time. You can't do nothing about progress. Progress is what the world that we live in. Things get better as you go on. When I was in college, we didn't have internet. Now you got internet. We had to go to the library and look in a book. We didn't have to sit in the computer in the dorm room and get the whole lesson playing. Am I bitter? No, that's progress. I didn't go to school in 2023, and these kids now go in 2023 and they get to everything at them. Same with football. It's like, hey, man, you can't get mad because the kids now are getting money. Now, they was getting money back probably in some of these older guys' era, but it was illegal, but they still got it. They just not getting as much as being gotten right now.
Yeah.
But no way, it shouldn't be any bitterment and all that kind of stuff, man. Just let the world make its progress. That's all you can do. You can't stop. And I say this, I think college football is really changing. I think it's changing too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But with anything, you gotta let it play out. Let's see if it's gonna work with USC playing in the Big Ten conference. We can always say, these guys don't care nothing about tradition and all this kind of stuff, but let's see, will it work? It may not work,
No, it may not. It may not work. So see, like Dale Brown said, he said, it ain't no different than my kids. Older one is mad because the younger ones get more. I make more money now than I did when my older kid was younger. Hey, you came along too early, man. It's just what it is.
You know what? You can't do nothing about it. And that's why you don't worry about things you can't control, right?
Right.
If you wasn't born in the era where the guys getting money at the colleges, then don't talk about something you can't change. You You can't change your birth date. You can't move it up, and you can't move it back. So if you can't control it, leave it alone.
Leave it be, man.
Alone. Allow these kids to enjoy what they have. Let's see where, the thing is, let's see where it takes them. Let's see where it goes. It may not go where you think it's going to go. It might come back where they don't get any money. But you got to let the process play out before you start, man, these guys don't deserve this. I mean, come on, man. They might have been saying the same thing in your era.
Right. Absolutely. But we're going to get into a little college before we go on college football, before we go over to golf. But yeah, let's finish up in the NFL with Sean Payton. So Sean Payton predicts a return to coaching, and he has 6 destinations that he has supposedly listed. So it says didn't take long for Sean Payton to rekindle interest in coaching almost 6 months after indefinitely stepping away from the Saints. The longtime head coach told USA Today this week he thinks he will, in fact, return to the NFL. It's just a matter of when and where. Payton, 58, even went so far as to note there are usually about 6 openings each year, a sign he'll be monitoring whatever vacancies arise in 2023. It's possible the former Super Bowl champion will ultimately resume his place atop the Saints staff, especially considering his contract in New Orleans runs through 2024, but that would have complications. The team this offseason hired defensive coordinator, defensive Allen, to take Payton's job, and Payton himself all but bade the franchise farewell in a lengthy send-off press conference before taking a job with Fox Sports for 2022. All signs point to Payton starting fresh if and when he patrols the sidelines again. That will require his new team compensating the Saints via trade, but his resume should help New Orleans draw attractive offers. With that in mind, here are 6 of the most logical destinations for Payton in the event he returns in 2023. So, and this was interesting too. And so they said the Seahawks, they got the Seahawks at number 6, the Raiders at 5, Buccaneers at 4. That was the most interesting. You got the Todd Bowles isn't going anywhere. You got the Jets at 3, Bears at 2, and number 1 you had the Cowboys. And this is very interesting because if I'm an NFL team, I'm not trading away capital for him necessarily. I mean, unless I'm just that desperate to have him, I want to wait till 2024. So let's say the Cowboys are interested in Sean Payton because that seemed to be number 1 on his list. I'd hold on to McCarthy another year if that's the case. We know it's like, okay, we don't want McCarthy no more, but Payton will be available in 2024. And you already know they do this handshake deal behind the scenes. Say, hey, we're going to wait till 2024, but the job is yours in 2024. He'll be fine with that. He'll wait, But it makes it and this the other thing that interests me now is how did it go bad in New Orleans? How did it go so bad? Because that roster is still a great roster. So it had to go bad with ownership in the front office for him to walk away because now already he's ready to come back into coaching.
Yeah. It's amazing to me, though, Brian, and some of these stories. I say this about ESPN, and I also say it about guys like Sean Payton. If you really listen to it, it's like, destination spots. To me, just be realistic. Somebody is disseminating this information. It sounds like Sean's agent. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Working in New Orleans, that rumor about the Cowboys has been going on for like 10 years.
I've heard it. That's why I knew they were number 1. I've heard it.
And it's like number 1 because I believe Sean Payton wants to be the Cowboys coach. And I think that's where he wants to end up at.
Yes. And
I don't know if Jerry Jerry is smart in this aspect. Jerry don't want another Jimmy. Sean is like Jimmy. Sean got to have control. When Sean was in New Orleans, Mickey Loomis was the GM, but Sean had a lot of power and control on that roster. And if he goes to Dallas, there's going to be some, that the problem would be how much control is Jerry going to give a guy like Sean Payton for roster decisions and this kind of thing? And I can tell you from experience, Sean is a guy, he don't like taking orders from management, especially when it comes to players that he want, how he want to do this, who does he need. He want to be in the room. He want to be the decision maker. And that might be the problem with the Cowboys. But for some reason, he want to go there. And another team that's been getting a lot of publicity about his next destination is the Chargers, L.A. Chargers. You know, that he might end up there. But a lot of this stuff is generated by his agent, man, that they're narrowing down the field. This is his choices. This is this destination point. And this is where he want to get up. And I've seen Cowboys for like 5 years. This is where is he going to coach next? And everybody been saying about the Cowboys. Even New Orleans fans was nervous that they would sign him away from the Saints 5 years ago.
And saying people were saying that like I don't know if this is because you're right, the agent most likely they're putting this out here, they're letting teams know this, they're drumming up that interest. But conflict of interest much. you know, he's already putting this out here, and let's say especially like a Todd Bowles, Todd Bowles, he will have a clear case if they decide that they want to fire him after one season and bring in Sean Payton. Like come on. Because there's no way. I see that Tampa Bay's going back to the playoffs. I will say they'll threaten to win the Super Bowl again. Brady, he's ready to go. He led through 50 touchdowns last year. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be successful next year. So if they fire him for whatever reason and bring in Sean Payton, I'm gonna have a huge issue with that. We got to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I think the league will have a huge issue addressing that situation too. So I definitely don't think his destination is the Bucs.
Yeah,
and
but the Cowboys do seem plausible. It does.
Raiders could be a possibility. I don't think he's a Raider guy. Seattle would be interesting. I think the Chargers is interesting. I mean, I think the Chargers need something in LA to make them, just an attraction. I just don't think they're an attraction in that city, especially with the Rams winning the Super Bowl. And you bring in a guy like Sean with his offensive mind and his play calling, that'll get some people in the seats. But, I think really, I truthfully feel that Sean, on his own intuition, want to be a Cowboy coach. I'm just saying. He ain't gonna say it publicly, but when them rumors continue to be the same rumors, and it's almost a decade, Sean is somebody in the Sean Payton camp is distributing that to some media people to make sure you have the Cowboys on my list, on my short list.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, man, we're gonna leave that right there. We're gonna get into a little college football. Got two quick stories on college football. One, I saw this and I had just remembered it. Deion Sanders has an issue with Jacksonville State and the BCU game being moved to the Jaguars stadium. So we're going to get into that. Say Deion Sanders rips decision to relocate Jackson State Bethune-Cookman game to Jacksonville. Say Deion Sanders wants maximum exposure for HBCU football in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, but blasted the decision to move Jackson State's October 15th road game against Bethune-Cookman to TIAA Bank Field, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He said, that game upsets me, Sanders said Thursday morning during a virtual press conference for SWAC Media Day. Bethune-Cookman, what is their fan base? I'm trying to uplift the SWAC. Their attendance is how many fans per game? You're depending on our fan base to come fill it. He said, I don't think it makes sense. I would rather pay them to come to us. They say BCU's athletic department and the city of Jacksonville announced the game's relocation on June 28th, moving it from the refurbished 10,000-seat Daytona Stadium to the NFL venue that seats more than 67,000. The Wildcats' average attendance last year was 5,322, including a homecoming sellout against Mississippi Valley State, according to university records. He said, asked about Sanders' comments, but Bethune-Cookman head coach Terry Sims says, fans might not be happy about it, but it's not my place to speak on it. I'm coaching a football team. He said, Bethune-Cookman has played in Jacksonville before. Bethune-Cookman has played 53 prior games in Jacksonville, counting the decades of games at the old Gator Bowl and the Gateway Classic Series that stretched from 1946 to 2006. The series was discontinued in 2007. BCU holds a 29, 23, and 21 all-time record in games played on the First Coast. Its last Duval contest was 30-29 loss to Southern on September 2nd, 2006. Jackson State won 11-2 last season and is the preseason favorite to repeat as champions in the SWAC's East Division. So I get what he's saying, like we're going to, instead of them, and then the money for them to do this, they would rather that money either goes to BCU or like he said, we'll pay them to come to us. And it would have been a more just the way it would look on TV, and you have more fans in the stands because we know they're not filling up the Jaguar Stadium. That stadium is going to be half full at best. I mean, that's the best they're probably going to do. I think that's the ceiling. It's half full, 30,000 fans maybe. That's about it.
Like the lower bowl full. I mean, that would probably be success. I don't know, Brandon. I just think I say this, man. I think Bethune-Cookman has to target Jacksonville as a market more because they do have graduates that went to the school that lives in the Jacksonville area. And I think they do a poor job of connecting to Jacksonville when it's only like 80 miles away. If they only drew 5,000 fans, then I think they can increase that number if whatever you need to do, market or whatever, to try to sell that program up here a little bit more. Not just for the Florida A&M game. But also, I think Jacksonville has to do a job of promoting the game, man. I mean, I wouldn't mind going in and seeing this game. You got Dion, and their Jackson State is the top team in the conference, and I don't know how good Bethune going to be, but I would have an interest in going to the game, but you got to sell the game to the public too. You gotta make people interested in wanting to go to the game. And I think A&M should play a game in Jacksonville too. I mean, I don't know if it has to be like the Jackson State game, but I think there's enough base of fans in Jacksonville to either school could play a classic game in Jacksonville. I think this city should do a better job of going after those type of games to put them at the TIA Bank Field, because it is what it is. I had this problem. I just think that I know we're in the back door of the Gators and Florida State right down the street, and there's a lot of attention to those programs, but I think if you look at what the black population is in Jacksonville, and you look at a lot of the graduates from both those colleges live in this area, I mean, I just think they should. I mean, as a kid, I remember Florida A&M used to play a game in Jacksonville. I mean, I just think that the city has to do a better job of getting more attractions to this city, like the HBCUs is a good thing. I feel, but Bethune has
this is a step in the right direction for them. I think that in Jacksonville, this is what you said. I think Jacksonville probably understands that. That's probably why they agreed to this game. I would say Bring all of them. Have all of the every team in Florida that wants to play here in Jacksonville. Bring them here and let them play, because we have a huge football fan base. The fans here in this town love football. And what is it going to do when they come here and play? Money. Money. At the end of the day, it's about money.
You know, some people come to the game just to watch the bands play. Some people come to the games to have a great tailgate with the alumni. And all that can be done here. I mean, and to be honest with you, Brandon, if I was Bethune-Cookman, I'm playing in a 10,000 seat stadium, and I think you said was that the biggest crowd they had, or they're averaging half of what they have?
Yeah, 5,322, and
so
that was with sellout.
That was their biggest.
That's their average. Their biggest was a sellout. They had a sellout.
Okay, so they're averaging half of what that stadium holds. So yeah, I think Bethune should look at ways to increase their. You know, it's never going to hurt the school to increase their audience. It's never going to hurt Bethune to play in other cities in Florida, like Orlando. I mean, I know they play in Orlando. They play the Orange Blossom Classic in Orlando, so I know that. But if you're only averaging half of your building, then maybe you should look at other ways in a bigger market. You know, Jacksonville is a lot larger city than Daytona Beach, so I don't see anything. But I see I see Deion's point. You know, because
I see his point. Yeah.
Jackson State, man, they might be averaging 40,000 in their stadium if they play that game in Jackson, Mississippi, and they're a hot commodity right now. You know, Jackson is, everybody in the country knows about Jackson State, and Deion is the head coach there. But I don't know. Maybe you might have the same attraction here. Maybe that game. Maybe you could get. I think you're going to get more than 5,000 fans to come to the game in Jacksonville. You know, but
absolutely,
it's 15,000 a success. It's 25,000 a success. It's 30,000 a success. In my opinion, I think if they get anywhere between 25 and 30,000 to that game, it's a success. Now they may not. They pull that game in Jackson. That might be half of what they could get. If in Jackson, they might could get 50,000 there to see it. But both sides got great points, but from a Jacksonville perspective, and HBCU, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I want to see Deion's team live, so I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a win-win for Bethune. This isn't about Jackson State. Deion has an issue with it, but it doesn't matter what you think or Jackson State thinks. This is about Bethune because they're the ones giving up a home game to move their game to Jacksonville. And so you get your team, you get your logo, you get your atmosphere, your band, all of that in front of other eyes. You're able to probably get new fans. And who knows? You play more games here in Jacksonville, and then you can have teams. Bethune is not far away. Hey, you could gain fans here in Jacksonville, and they may travel to Bethune to go see you, And this is a showcase for Jackson State as well. Yeah, you're a hot commodity, but I've never heard nobody say we need less opportunity. I've never heard that before.
Oh yeah. And like I say, I like to see it be a big event in the city. Maybe have a battle of the bands on Friday night. Have some type of pep rally Saturday before the game or something like that, and just make it an event here. That's on Jacksonville, and make it a nice event. Put get the recognition and attention, and put some events around that game, and you might have something where you can have something annually. Which doesn't help a city trying to be a bigger city when it comes to hosting events. That's how you host them. You got to start from somewhere and make it into an event. I want to hear, let the fans be fans. I'll put it that way. I'll be social responsible with my response, but let the fans be fans. Just like you let the fans, the Georgia and the Florida fans be fans, let the Bethune-Cookman fans be fans. Don't be harassing.
Yeah. And speaking of Florida, Georgia, you brought this up. Kirby Smart wants to take the Florida Georgia game out of Jacksonville. So you got Deion Sanders is upset about coming here, and now Kirby Smart is talking about he wants to get out of here. Let's see. So it says, watch Kirby Smart takes epic stand against Tim Tebow cocktail party in Jacksonville. So it's a Kirby Smart bowled up like the fearless safety he once was at Georgia when Tim Tebow figuratively lowered his shoulder into the Bulldogs head coach on SEC Network last week. It was a moment Georgia football fans watching the event live won't ever forget. Smart's stand was the stuff of legend, harkening memories of how Pat Dye stood up for Auburn, bringing in the Iron Bowl to the Tigers campus some 30 years ago. Tradition can be tough to take on and topple, even when it makes sense for changes to be made. Dye, who was an All-American player at Georgia, angered many Alabama fans with his historic move, much like the Florida faithful are fighting to keep the Georgia game 70 miles from their campus. Tebow has been among the most vocal Gators, and he did not hesitate to call out Smart during the national television segment at the College Football Hall of Fame last Wednesday. He said, "I got a bone to pick with you," said Tebow, who makes no secret of his passion for Jacksonville, a city desperate to keep Georgia pinned to its NFL venue 340 miles from Athens. "I've heard you no longer want the Florida-Georgia game in Jacksonville," Tebow said. "It's literally one of the best environments." Smart has said the location comes at too great of a cost, and now in what amount to an open field one-on-one showdown with Tebow on this debate, he was not about to get run over. He said, "Why is it one of the best environments?" Smart shot back at Tebow. "How many times have you played in Athens, Tim?" He said, "None." The popular SEC legend replied. He said, "How many times did we get to play in Gainesville? I think that's special. I think that's special." He said, "The rivalry game is contracted to be played in Jacksonville through 2023. It is up for renegotiation of a possible extension through 2025. Smart was also pressed on Jacksonville radio station 1010 XL about the game, and once again, the 1998 All-ACC safety did not back down. He said, "It would be like me saying in June, there are 4 weekends you can have prospects on campus, but at Georgia, you can only have 3, Smart said. "That's what it's like." He said, "I'm self-sanctioning myself an opportunity to have the best prospects in the country fly into Atlanta and drive over every other year to see Georgia play Florida. Some UGA fans and even media like the idea of a vacation weekend each year close to the Atlantic Ocean, putting their wants and needs ahead of Smart's judgment and program needs." Say, "I don't know what people understand the value of that. They don't respect it," Smart said, of the recruiting implications, especially people in Jacksonville. Smart said he grew up in South Georgia and has friends who live in the area that want the Bulldogs to continue to play the designated home game with Florida 340 miles from Athens. This, even if it means asking Smart and his staff to give up what would be the biggest recruiting weekend of the season. "But at the end of the day, I have to make decisions based on what's best for the University of Georgia," Smart said. Tebow, whose willpower led him to a Heisman Trophy and 2 national championships, didn't give up on his argument with Smart so easily. Tebow stated that Georgia plays many home games and away games, but Jacksonville is special because it's the only game that's a 50-50 split in ticket distribution. Smart pointed out UGA plays neutral game sites in Atlanta and suggested Tebow call the Florida athletic director and ask if UF to play Georgia in Atlanta. There could be a split allotment of tickets there too. Former Bulldogs coach Mark Rips once suggested the same thing, but it fell on deaf ears with former UGA AD Greg McGarity, who is now the Gator Bowl president in Jacksonville. "It's not a neutral site," Rick said flatly. Last year, the ACC Media Days, Smart doesn't think the location of the game necessarily factors into the outcome, but Florida benefits by virtue of its proximity to the Gator campus. An estimated $35 million a year gets pumped into the Northeast Florida economy, while Athens' infrastructure remains challenged. And this has always been about money. I mean, and it's about who's losing. So whoever got a win streak going, they don't want to move the game. Whoever loses wants to move the game. That's seemed to has been the back and forth about this. You say, so when Auburn plays Alabama, guess where the recruits are? They're at Auburn. When LSU and Alabama play, that's where the biggest recruits go, he continued. So it's an opportunity for us to bring these kids that fly in from all over the country. What game do they want to see Georgia play? They like to see Georgia play Florida. They can't do that. It's very important. Recruiting is very important. Tebow, sensing Smart's firmness, conceded. That makes sense, Tebow said. It's a good argument. Smart said the status of the contract for the game will be decided by UGA President Jer Moorhead and Athletic Director Josh Brooks, who recently granted the head coach a 10-year contract worth $112.5 million. So, I mean, I get his argument. I hear what he's saying. The that game brings so much money to Northeast Florida, like they said. You know, we talking about they pumping, they say $35 million a year into the economy. Jacksonville doesn't want to give that up willingly, you know, and they're talking about instead of doing the home and home, what he suggested, playing in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. And you can still do that allotment, you know. But even fans in Georgia, along with fans in Florida, want to keep the game in Jacksonville. It's a tradition. It's always been that way, you know. I mean, I can understand them maybe changing it one day because, you know, it is what it is, just like the Iron Bowl. I didn't know that the Iron Bowl wasn't always home and home with Auburn and Alabama until they moved it there, you know. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I say you keep the game in Jacksonville, man.
Yeah, that's what I say. And yeah, you know, you look at 1933. This game been played in Jacksonville since 1933. You know, obviously they didn't play it, I think, in 95 and 94 because the stadium was getting upgraded and all that. But I just feel like Kirby. You know, I understand you coming in on a roll. You won a national championship. You got that program to a point where you probably compete for national championships over the next 5 seasons. You've had top #1 recruiting classes. I just don't agree with the fact that he's saying that, you know, okay, this is the one game on the schedule, the big game on the schedule where we can't bring in recruits. You know, I just don't think that's the sole reason why you give up a traditional game that's been a part of Jacksonville for so long and then make a compromise. Okay, we play in Jacksonville one year. The next season we'll play in Atlanta. And if you go back in history, I mean, I can remember Vince Dooley wasn't a big fan of coming to Jacksonville. He thought it was unfair. You know, the fact that, you know, just the distance between the schools from Jacksonville, it was unfair. And, you know, Jacksonville had to put more money in the pot to keep the series going. And then, you know, that's how, you know, what would say the last 20 years, it's just been that they've had to put more money in the pot to satisfy both schools. And it just seems to me like more of the chirping has been Georgia than obviously Florida, which, you know, for obvious reasons, I mean, it is sort of a home game for the Gators. But I will say this, man. I just think that college football is changing, you know. And I can't, you know, I'm not going to argue something when I just said something when it relates to retired players that you have to accept the change. But when you got a football coach openly saying, you know, it's not come out of nowhere. He's chirped about it before. Don't think that the NCAA can't change the rule to allow recruits to come visit at neutral games. I believe that would be the lesser of the obstacle that he's speaking of, that the NCAA would allow that. They're almost allowing everything right at this point. So I don't think it would. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out what is the difference. I mean, I think that should be the debate. What is the difference in having a recruit stand on the sideline for a neutral site game as opposed to playing at the school's home field? What difference does that make? I mean, I'm almost confused. I didn't know that was the rule, but I don't think that's something that can't get changed. But when you're talking about a football game that means so much to a community, so much tradition, so many factors, if you go back and look at those past games, Lindsey Scott, touchdown and all that, it's not hurting Georgia recruiting. I mean, you really want to talk about it. I mean, this guy done had top #1 recruiting classes since he's been there. You know, I think the only class he hadn't had that was like top 3 was his first one, and I believe it was at least a top 10. You know, I've never asked Tyson Campbell, do you think it makes a difference to you? A reason you went to Georgia? What would make would it change your preference for Georgia if that game was not played in Jacksonville and it was played in Atlanta? I don't think you're going to get that response from a guy like Ty. I think he's probably saying, I really don't care. I just want to win and play them no matter where. So you can't go with that argument. So, and also you ask any of these recruits, did it make any difference that the game was in Jacksonville? Did that influence your decision to go to Georgia? I mean, sometimes you have to see things logically. You have to, what is his agenda? His agenda is he don't want to play that game. The same reason Vince Dooley didn't want to play the game. They feel, even though you get a 50-50 split, they feel it's more of a home game for Florida than it is for Georgia, because Georgia got to drive where they bus them or fly them. They got to go 346 miles. And Florida only got to go, about an hour away?
70 miles.
And that's been the issue for the whole time. But I think whatever Jacksonville has to do. And another thing about Jacksonville, if I was Jacksonville, I would push to have the contract to be at least 10 to 15 years.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah. Because it's been too many times, because I think over the last 5 years, I know since, I want to say 2017, there was contract talks then about this game. But when you start having like 5-year contracts and then the 5th year,
this next one is only going to be 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Renegotiate.
You can't have that. That's one of the problems right there, because that's setting Jacksonville up that they're going to get in a negotiation period where either it's going to be too costly or they're going to ask for too much for both schools. So you got to lock them in. You obviously you got to put money into it, and you got to make it profitable that if they played the game in Athens or if they played the game in Gainesville, the revenue wouldn't matter. They're still gross either the same or they gross more in Jacksonville, whether that game's played in Athens or in Gainesville. You have to make it to the point that they're going to make money off that game in Jacksonville no matter what. That's just business. But to have these negotiation period between 2 years, 5 years, or whatever, and that's got to be stopped if Jacksonville is going to continue to host this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, we're going to leave it right there. Let's see, my bad, Everton, he said, good evening, guys. I hope the Jags have a successful season, and there's a lot of pressure on Shad Khan as an owner this year. Yeah, 42 and 119. There's immense pressure on as an owner, man. So yeah, absolutely.
And he should have pressure on him. I mean, he made a bad choice. He made a bad decision hiring Urban Meyer. He probably hired the right guy this time in Doug Peterson. But yeah, he should have pressure. He should have pressure to get this franchise on track. Whatever money need to be spent, whatever free agent need to be gained, or whatever it is that need to be done from the ownership to get this franchise back to the level of being a playoff team, playoff contender, division contender, then the pressure should be on them, because that's what pressure should be on owners to own winning franchises. And right now, this franchise has not been a winning. It ain't won much of anything since he's been the owner.
Right. Absolutely. So, man, but we're going to leave it. We're going to put a pin in football talk. We're going to get into a little golf. And it's amazing, man. Ever since you brought up Tiger's remarks and we talked about Live Golf, they've been dominating headlines as far as golf, because I've been hearing about them seemingly every day since we talked about them. Yep. And this is one of the ones I talked about. I sent it to you. They're going to get even more notoriety if they're able to recruit a certain broadcaster over to their platform. So let's see this. Oh, sound is down. So fair use.
You've always been super honest with us, and I'm about to put you on the spot here because you love golf. I love golf, and there is this rumor I've heard from a couple people in the golf world that the Live Tour is coming after you as like a face of their media, like an analyst or something like that. Is there any truth to that, or is this just rumor?
I'm gonna meet with Liv.
So there is some truth.
Truth, to be always transparent and honest. They called me and asked me would I meet with them, and I said yes. Nothing is imminent. I actually don't know everything they want from me or what they technically want me to do, but you got to always look at every opportunity that's available.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question is 100% yes, I'm gonna meet with Liv.
And there it is, man. And dude, hey, if Liv is able to get Charles Barkley on, I mean that right there, that's gonna give him even more steam because dude, Charles Barkley is loved. People. One of the reasons people watch TNT basketball show, the reason they watch is because of Charles Barkley. Yes, Shaq is good, Ernie is good, Kenny is good, but Charles is one of the biggest draws for that show. And he will be at whoever they got now at Live Golf, he's an upgrade automatically walking in the door.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. And another thing is Live Golf, they got deep pockets. And when you got deep pockets, you listen. You know, you make yourself you up there in the ranks. And that's what Charles was talking about. You know, hey, I don't know what it might lead to, but any opportunity, I'm gonna listen. And they got deep pockets. They can convince you by the money that they gonna get you to hire you. And, and like we talked last week, a week ago, man. I mean, it's competition. You know, the PGA Tour has never had competition. This is competition. It's going to make the golf game better, that's what a fan or anybody want. They want. How does this make the game of golf better? It makes it better because it's competition, and they're not going to sit still. They're going after Charles. They're going after people like that. They can draw interest to their to their tour, and they're smart about it. And I mean, I think they're doing. They're putting the PGA Tour on notice, and I think a long time the PGA Tour should have been on notice. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Say Troy Lee say Barkley will go to Live, loves his golf, and Norman wants him and will pay anything. Norman knows what Charles is worth, and he will pay overs. Yeah, $650 billion spending power they supposedly have. And they've been criticizing Charles, talking about, that's blood money and whatever. Dude, I'm going to get paid. Hey, Live Golf called me today, Mr. Reed. Guess what? You're going to see Live Golf right here on the polo and me holding the microphone. And this is going to be what it is.
Yeah, it is. I'll be right there joining you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can advertise at any time. So it is what it is, man. It's here to stay. It's here, and they're gonna have to deal with it. It's like that's what the powers of a free society and a free marketplace. You bring in competition and you get the talent, and the PGA Tour. I mean, it's gonna make the PGA Tour better at this point because they got competition. And as a sports fan, that's all we want. We want competition. We want to see things exciting, and we don't want to see the same old. Okay, this is the way the PGA do it, and you gotta accept it or leave it. Now I'll go to Live. You got options. There's nothing wrong with having options.
Yep. So it says we got an article here. Yeah, they're going to listen because look, say LPGA boss willing to take Norman's call after star suggests entire women's tour could join Live. He said this wasn't a no. Molly Marco Simon, the LPGA commissioner said she would listen to Greg Norman about working with Live Golf if he called. She said, "It's my responsibility to evaluate every opportunity." Sounds familiar. Marco Simon told the London Times, "I would engage in a conversation if it would achieve our aim of promoting women's golf, but there needs to be input from players and sponsors. There's a lot of factors to consider before we do business with Live Golf." They say last week Norman told Palm Beach Post that 100% Live Golf wants to be involved in the women's game. Live Golf, of course, has created upheaval by taking top players away from the PGA Tour on the men's side. It's become a popular topic of conversation on the LPGA Tour. Marissa Fossey told Golf Week. Christy Kerr said the entire tour could leave if offered big money. Everybody has different opinions in terms of what the guys are doing, but then when it's switched to us, it would be very hard to say no to that, Fossey said. He said, with that in mind, it will make sense for the LPGA to work with Live Golf rather than lose all or most of its members. I think all of us care about this tour a lot, Fossey said. I don't think any of us truly want to leave. So yeah, and this is like they was like, hey, you have to take the call. You got to at least talk about it and see what it is, because there's too much money on the table.
Yeah.
Like, are you willing to lose your women's tour with them going to Live, or do you want to work with them? And the PGA is going to have to end up doing the same thing. They're going to fight the hardest. The women's tour already put it on notice, like, hey, they call, we're going to talk. But the PGA, they're going to be stubborn because, you know, that's the good old boys club is going to be staunch and they're going to stay stubborn. But all it takes, every man has a price.
Yeah.
All it's going to this is at this point, it's about money. No matter whether it's the men or the women, it's about money, and whoever has the bigger purse is going to win.
And the golf is, I'm a guy for free society, man, and free society is those golfers now have an option. They don't just have to settle for what the PGA pay them. The PGA rules, the PGA this. You got to conform to this. Now those golfers got an option. They got an option that they can go to Live Golf and compete, get paid, whatever. But, life is choice, and they got an option. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Live positioning itself as a global product, not just North America. Players from all corners of the world are going to play all around the world. It has massive growth potential. Asia, Europe, USA, and Australia. Hey, I'm glad you said that, Troy, because I've also heard that the Live Golf and their backing, what's stopping them from also creating other sports, a competition for other sports, for them creating their own basketball league, for them creating their own football leagues? We're talking about $650 billion. But the NFL grosses what, $15 billion a year, I think. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about a lot of money. So hey, if I'm coming up with my own football team, hey, Patrick Mahomes, I got $1 billion for you to come quarterback my team. Hey, Lamar Jackson, the Ravens don't want to pay you. Hey man, hey, come get this $1 billion, man. It's that simple. It's going, money talks, man.
Yeah, it'll be like the USFL back in the 80s, but with deeper pockets. Their sustainability a lot better. They don't need Trump money like they did in the USFL in the 80s. So yeah. And another thing though, man, I just think that nothing should stay complacent. I think every league should always try to make their league better. And this is a testament of that, man. This is a testament that this can come in. And like you say, hey, who's to say within a year, 2, 3 years, whatever it is down the line, that they formulate a plan that they want to gain entry in other sports. I mean, they got the pocket $650 billion. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
So that's money that can compete against the NFL if they wanted to. So if you got that, and as we are, we fans, man, whatever it is to make sports better, I'm all for it. Whether it's competition or what. And I think it put these leagues on notice. I think baseball should be put on notice because I think out of all the professional sports, I believe Major League Baseball needs a lot of adjusting, a lot of changing, a lot more diversity, a whole lot of things that make that game better than what it is right now. So if any sport I feel that needs better competition, it would be Major League Baseball. For sure.
And for sure. And it's funny you bring up Major League Baseball because that's one of our next topics. We're going to be talking about Mr. Tim Anderson. And we spoke about Tim Anderson because he had a what we call a dust up with another player calling him Jackie Robinson, and he said he felt like it was disrespectful. But he's back in the headlines for other reasons. But real quick on Live Golf. Live Golf, they want to, well, not Live, but their backers with this money. Ja Morant, come play here. Trae Young, Luka Doncic. I mean, it's dude, $650 billion. Dude, bringing in that type of competition, and this is what's going to happen if that happens. Just like the PGA is going to have to bend. NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, whoever, you're going to have to bend because it's obvious Live Golf did their due diligence and they put on an event that was amazing and the players loved it and they're going to go back. So whoever's the same to whether they want to do an NFL comparison, NBA, MLB, they're going to do their homework and they're going to hire people who've already been in those leagues so they can find out where did the leagues who failed, where did they go wrong, and we have the money to get past those hurdles because one of the biggest things is money. So whatever hurdle they're going to have, they don't have to deal with the money hurdle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got deep pockets. You can get a television. You don't have to scramble so much to get a network deal because you already got money, basically. But yeah. And who knows, man? Like I said, we spoke about this earlier. We have no idea where sports is going to be at 5 years from now. We don't know what in the world going to happen to college football at all. I mean, you got USC playing in the Big Ten in 24. I think it's 2024 the first time. Then you got the SEC. You got Oklahoma and Texas coming into that league. And we talked about, what happens to the ACC and what happened to the Big 12 and some of these other conferences. So who knows, man? I guess that's why sports is exciting because you can't really predict what's going to happen from game to game to year to who's going to be the next superstar, from the drafts and things like that. But, this they could be an impact, this Live. They could be an impact in multiple sports. And we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll see. They said what Troy Lee say. He said, "Do you think Trump will turn up at Bedminster next weekend?" Yeah, he's supposed to be celebrating his 76th at Bedminster next weekend. Yeah, he's gonna be gone. He's gonna be what they call it, 3 sheets to the wind. Yeah, them eyes gonna be glazed over, and it's gonna be a wrap.
Yeah, man.
That's for sure. He say that's Liv's next tournament at Trump's course. Yeah. I seen it. But yeah. He's definitely going to turn up, man. And that's more money. But yeah, so but we're gonna put a pin in that Live Golf, and we're gonna talk about Mr. Tim Anderson. And this is another one for the young athletes, man. I am a proponent of young athletes probably should not get married, especially if you're not responsible. Now, if you're responsible and you're gonna keep your name out of the headlines, you're not gonna have these issues and be out here messing with these IG models and all this stuff, then yeah, you're gonna be a family man. Okay, go ahead, do your thing, man. But if you're gonna be in these streets, you want to play, you want to fly these chicks out, and you got all of this money and you got access to women that you didn't have in the past, now that you're an athlete, don't get married. It's really that simple. Don't get married. But say White Sox Tim Anderson's pregnant side chick, Deja Lane, upset he took his wife to the All-Star game and not her. So for those who don't know, Deja Lane, of course, their picture pregnant, taking a picture of herself. She posted a photo of her and Tim Anderson on her Instagram story that said baby father. And, caused the uproar because they like, hey, Tim Anderson is married. And so now he's having a baby with this chick. So let's get into the article. Well, this is Black Sports 09. Shout out to Mr. Robert Littal. He say Tim Anderson's alleged pregnant side piece named Deja Lane has called him out on her Instagram story as she saw a video of him attending MLB All-Star Weekend with his wife Bria Anderson and their kids. She's obviously jealous. So these side chicks can be a pain in one's. Yeah. He say Tim Anderson has had one hell of a 2022. Anderson's marriage life seemed to be in shambles after a woman named Deja Lane came forward on Instagram and claimed that Tim Anderson is the father to her yet to be born child. Anderson, who has been dubbed Tristan of baseball, after and that's not a good nickname to have, the Tristan Thompson of baseball. Tristan Thompson is in the news for everything but basketball. After a second woman claimed to have been his side chick, came out to the MLB All-Star game with his wife and kids to show that everything was just fine at home despite these other women. One person hated seeing that, and that was the pregnant side chick. Deja took to Instagram and called out the Chicago White Sox star for his actions. As of now, Lane is still showing off her baby bump, though it's unclear how far along the influencer is as she gets closer to giving birth. So obviously, she thought her social media post would break up his marriage, but she was wrong. Chicago White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson has allegedly gotten his side piece pregnant. Cheating is in the DNA of these athletes. Tim has a wife, Bria, and they've been married since 2017. And this pregnancy has been by his alleged side piece could end their marriage. The fact that Anderson didn't even try to hide his face while the side chick was recording is insane. Athletes cheating on their girlfriends or wives is not unusual, and we have come to expect that these men will have access to millions and thousands of beautiful women and are likely to step out and do things they probably shouldn't do while being in the public eye. Tim Anderson is finding out the hard way. The married Chicago White Sox star got blasted by his alleged side chick on Instagram, and it appears she is saying that she is pregnant with this child. Tim Anderson and his wife Bria have been married since 2017. So let's see. We go to the next. And you see what she put, because this is very interesting because I guess she thought that this was gonna break up the family, but I mean you have to know that you're dealing with a married man, so that's where your responsibility comes in this. And Mr. Reid, the person that loses in all of this is not these two stupid adults; it's that unborn child. That unborn child suffers the most because of two stupid people.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, man. These stories here, and it's become a part of sports. Which, unfortunately, but to have a pregnant side chick. Bring your wife to the game, which I guess that's his responsibility, and then the side chick get mad and go on a social media rant.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just I think these professional athletes, man, gotta be a lot more smarter. They gotta be a lot. And I agree with your first statement, man. Why even get married? I mean, I kid you not, man. They were NBA guys, and I can only talk about what I know. There would be NBA guys, and I think I said this before on your show. These guys would go travel to the city they play in that night. I would see them in the locker room. And I can see the names that they're putting on the ticket request. They've got an envelope where they got like 15 tickets they got to the games. Every one of them is a female.
Right.
And one time I asked them, they're not inviting Auntie Sherry, Uncle Bob, Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
And they're inviting like,
oh yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, man, like, dude, man, the dude married, and he got 10 girls in Chicago. He got 15 side pieces in LA. And I'm always amazed to see things from my own sights, with my own eyes, and just, make my own opinions about what I see. And I can remember specifically when we went to the Players Hotel at an All-Star game. It was like 2002, and we had to go in the Players Hotel to interview them in the they had like the rooms and all that, but we had to go in there. And I swear literally to tell you that when we walked into the lobby, it might have was been, I want to say, like 300 of the most beautiful women I ever seen in my life.
Right. Absolutely.
And just imagine that those players, this is their hotel, and they can basically pick the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been amazed by, some, in life give you options, it give you choices, it gives you the lifestyle that you want to live. If you, especially when you're making that kind of money.
Yeah.
And obviously some of these players, man, some of them in the game just to have those privileges.
Absolutely.
And then when
Dude, that's like,
go ahead.
I'm saying anything in entertainment. These guys, you think, oh man, you want to be a singer, you want to be actor, you want to be this, you want to be that. It ain't because they love the art. They just a lover of the game all the time. You have those ones, but then a lot of them, hey, I'm doing this strictly for the chicks, man. That's what I want. I want the chicks, and they see that those guys get the chicks.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said when we went into this segment, man. If you got all this, and you got these privileges, and you ain't ready to settle down, then why in the world, like him, why would you get married? I mean, come on, man. Why? Just if you're not ready to settle down and you ready to have your side chick in every Major League Baseball city in the country, then don't get married, because it's not gonna. Somebody is gonna lose.
Yeah.
And somebody got to pay the price. And I agree with you, man. The one that's gonna hurt the most is this kid, this child that's coming in this world, and that's the worst part of all of this. That the child got to deal with this, got to deal with that, even before he's born or she is born. And I just think, man, sometimes you got to think about a lot of things when you making that kind of money and you have that many opportunities and life is that easy, and you gotta make the right choices, because it doesn't hurt right now. He in the news for that is just, that's not helping him. It's not helping him as a baseball player, not helping him as a character. If he got kids, it's not helping the kids. And as the article said, the pregnant side chick is not going to make things easy.
No, absolutely not. So Troy said Tim should get advice from Tiger Woods. Hey, I don't know if that'd be a good person either, because he couldn't juggle his either.
Yeah, nah.
He couldn't juggle his. Yeah, he couldn't juggle his either. But yeah, man, you young guys, you got to be ready to settle down, and it's fine. And hey, if you find a woman who's fine with you going out doing whatever, hey, and what they call cheating respectfully, where hey, no kids, no disease, and no embarrassment for the family, then cool, you got that. But I mean, even if this is a situation where his wife was fine, and she has to know. I mean, as a woman today, you can't be like women in yesteryear who just did not know what athletes did. Everybody know now, so she knows. Now, the issue that Tim has is that hey, you chose somebody who's messy. Because I'm telling you right now, if I was her, I'm not saying nothing. I ain't got to say a thing. Just run me my money, okay? But she wants attention, and that attention is a drug, man. This is a drug. This was about attention. This wasn't about money. This was about attention.
Well, truthfully, I would tell you this, man. If she knows that he's married, and if she's going to make a publicity type of thing because he did not take her to the All-Star game when he's married, I mean, that's kind of selfish.
Very.
I'm trying to figure out, like, what do you want the red carpet? You want to be on the red carpet with the man that's married,
Right.
And you being known around the world as a pregnant side chick, I mean, I give up, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm out of sports because I don't know, man. I mean, I think she want a contract to sign with a reality show or something, man.
That's it. Attention. Because if this was just about money, she ain't have to say anything. You got the baby. So
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
run me my cash.
You don't need to be on Entertainment Tonight, huh?
Right.
She want to be on Entertainment Tonight as a pregnant side chick. All right, I give up.
Man, yeah. So it is what it is, man.
Ooh, man.
But we're gonna leave that right there. Hopefully, Mr. Tim Anderson and her can figure things out.
Yeah.
But we're gonna move
Especially
on.
for the baby.
Gotta
Figure it out for the baby.
Yeah, for the baby. Yeah, because the last thing that you need is her being bitter. That she didn't break them up, because now the child is going to suffer. Because what is she going to do? She's going to have custody. What's going to poison the child against him? That he didn't love you, he didn't this, and he didn't do that, and you mad because he didn't leave his wife for you now, and then now you bringing the child into this. And there's women. Not all women do this, of course. There's some great mothers out there, but there are some terrible mothers out there as well. Just like the same with dads. There's good ones and there's bad ones. And she could do this, alienate the child from him, and then now too, the wife has to deal with this because that's his child. His two daughters who we have now, that's their sibling. So they need time together, and she's going to have to deal with that as well, man. So it's just stupid, man. Stupid mistakes, stuff that could easily be avoided, but hey, these young guys, they have to learn.
Yeah, it's not always what you see through your eyes, man. I think a lot of oh, she's beautiful. Oh, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't see trouble.
No. You can't. So, and we're gonna put a pin in baseball talk. We'll talk a little basketball before we get out of here. And Mr. Miles Bridges, they say he's getting ready to sign a supermax contract with the state penitentiary. Because he can't get himself together. So Hornets, Miles Bridges facing 11 years in prison if convicted of on domestic violence charges. So say Miles Bridges has been charged with felony domestic violence and child abuse after allegedly beating the mother of his children in front of the kids, and if convicted could spend 11 years in prison. Say Bridges was hit with one felony count of injuring child's parent and two felony counts of child abuse under the circumstances or conditions likely to cause great bodily injury or death. Domestic violence creates physical, mental, and emotional trauma that has long-lasting impact on survivors, said controversial LA District Attorney George Gascon. Children who witness family violence are especially vulnerable, and the impact on them is immeasurable. Mr. Bridges will be held accountable for his actions, and our Bureau of Victim Services will support the survivors through this difficult process. On Wednesday, June 29th, Hornet Sport Miles Bridges was arrested for felony domestic violence in Los Angeles. The incident happened on Tuesday, and Bridges, 24, left the scene before police arrived. The female victim says she got into an argument with Bridges, which turned physical. The woman required medical attention, but the extent of her injuries were not revealed. Say Bridges has pleaded not guilty. Charlotte Hornets forward Miles Bridges pled not guilty Wednesday to felony domestic violence charges filed by Los Angeles County prosecutors after he was accused of assaulting his girlfriend in front of their two children. District Attorney George Gascon announced Tuesday that his office filed one felony count of injuring a child's parent and two felony counts of child abuse under circumstances, conditions likely to cause great bodily injury. Bridges entered a not guilty plea during an arraignment at the DA office. Bridges was arrested on June 29th in Los Angeles. The Hornets and the NBA both said they were aware of the charges filed against Bridges. These are very serious charges that we will continue to monitor, the Hornets said. This is a legal matter, and we will have no further comment at this time. Bridges briefly posted photos of his own injuries and implied he was the one that was being abused. So, and this is a sticky situation, and that's the photo that she uploaded. And, with this right here, because it's what the easiest thing to do in this situation is say, that Miles Bridges, he's a woman beater, he's an abuser, he did this, and he's saying that he has injuries. But what it sounds like to me is these two people, they beat on each other, which is seem to be quite common. Now, women get the worst end of the stick because Miles Bridges is 6'8", 250, 60 pounds. So, of course, she's going to get the short end of the stick if they got physical, But once again, athletes, this is his wife. She had posted, she didn't mean to do it, but posted a naked photo of herself on Instagram not too long ago. And then he posted a photo of him holding a cup of lean and a blunt in his hand. And I'm just like, do either of them understand where Miles Bridges is going in his career at the moment? Because she has a vested interest in where his career goes. And, of course, it's his career. But she's his wife. So for this to come out now, both of them, they're blowing $100 million easily right now. Easily. And it's unfortunate, and Miles, hey, if he's wrong, he's done whatever, he's pleading not guilty. He should face the consequences of his actions. But these are two people who don't need to be together anymore. They need to break up and move on after this right here. Because, hey, it's obvious. You're not good for each other. Go ahead, move on. You've been putting hands on each other. And now that part I do believe. I believe she put hands on him as well. I do, so it's just unfortunate. But Miles, dude, he was a free agent, and I don't think he was a max contract player, but he was going to get at least $100 million easy.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he can worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, these cases, man, I think the best thing is what you said. I think they shouldn't be together. Obviously, they don't get along. And the photos, and I don't know. I don't know if that's for get back or what.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's going to get to a point where a guy get convicted, and not charged but convicted. I think he's going to be banned for life to play professional sports, and he might be down that road. He probably get. It might be a tough road for him to come back to the NBA if he can. You're talking about felony charges, so that's serious. Facing 11 years or whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know. These cases, man, that she got bruises on her leg.
Oh no, this is Miles. That's
Miles.
Yeah, Miles posted this one. This is one of the injuries he said he suffered. So these two people, they were beating it. This is her, and she posting bruises on her. Let's see. It's moving slow. Yeah, that's Miles. See, look, bruised wrist. These two people beating on each other, man, getting into altercation. And this isn't the first. And this is the thing. This is the first time this has happened. They just, somebody called the cops this time, and both of them are getting in trouble. That's Miles's arm right there.
Yeah, they were fighting. That's what that.
They were fighting.
Yeah,
they were fighting. And this wasn't the first time they were doing it. This is probably something that has been done. And, and just from the stats, you could talk to a police officer or you could look up the stats yourself. And that's injuries that she had. 70% of domestic disputes are initiated by the woman, which means whatever the issue that they had, she started it. Mm-hmm. And of course, with women, men being, bigger, faster, stronger, of course, women get the short end of the stick when things go physical. But the initiator of the domestic dispute, who started it, 70% of the time, it's the woman who started it. And when I saw that, I couldn't believe that. I said, I was like, are you serious? I was like, I couldn't believe that. But, it is what it is. But, Miles, he's going to fight this. He's pleading not guilty, and I'll be following the story to see how it pans out. But, just the young guys, man, dude, don't get married. First of all, you don't even need girlfriends, man. You need to wait until after your playing days are over.
Yeah.
You know,
There's nothing wrong getting married, but you just gotta stop judging how good she looks. How physically, I mean, I think that go into judgment too much, and then it's not about, well, are we compatible? I mean, how we settle an argument or a disagreement? You live in a house, you're gonna have disagreements, but you can't have a marriage where every time you have a disagreement, there's World War III.
right? Look at Troy say, get a dog.
Yeah, get a dog, man. They don't talk back. And another thing is, a lot of these states, when you got a domestic call, they take both of you. I mean, they take the woman.
They take
both of them. But I seen that he left the scene, so But bottom line,
and that's a mistake. That's a mistake to leave the scene.
A mistake on this part that they're gonna definitely present that in the trial or case or whatever it's gonna be. But bottom line is, man, you can't judge everything by the how good the cover of the book look.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, you don't know what compatibility is just by how good she looks or how good he looks or whatever, man. But
yeah. So, and remember last year we did the story on Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, when his fiance knocked his tooth out in Vegas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, and once again, he had his parents, kind of had issue with her. They didn't like her. And once again, this was another one where, pretty girl, you're probably looking at how she looked. And that wasn't the first time that she had put hands on him. That time she just happened to knock his tooth out.
Yeah. It's happened way too often, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
These domestic cases, especially with athletes, it's just too many of them happening. And, you just, like I say, man, you got to make sure you're going to have even girlfriends, wife, husband,
side chicks,
man,
mistresses.
You got to make sure you're making the right call, because if you're not, man, you could be in jail for a long time.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I heard an analogy today that made a lot of sense. He said, especially the way things are today, and dealing with women and pretty much the mental state of people in general, there's a mental health crisis going on in this country. And so you have people who are mentally unstable. But they say dealing with women today is like playing Russian roulette, and every woman you deal with is a bullet added into the gun. I mean, this round you didn't get hit, but another bullet got added by this woman that you're dealing with. So at any time, things can go left, things can go wrong, stuff can happen. She can allege things, she can say things. And that's one thing about it, is that your reputation suffers in the court of public opinion when things like this come up, even if it's false. Because look what happened with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp fought his case, he won, he had to spend $5 million to do so, but there's still people who believe that, hey, he's just a woman beater, he's terrible, he's this, he's that, Mm-hmm. So your reputation suffers. It'll never get back to where it was, even if the allegations are proven to be false.
Yeah, the bottom line is, I think too many rush into marriage. I think when you're talking about basketball teams, and this, believe it or not, but it's true, some of those guys have competition on how good the girl looks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you rush into things. Oh man, this is the best. When they have contests, and
Mm-hmm.
then you wind up thinking you got the beautiful woman, but you got a house full of problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, come on, Troy. Troy say Tim and Miles make me think about Hunter Biden. I don't think they have anything on Hunter Biden. Dude, when I did a deep dive on that story and looked in all the stuff they found in that laptop, that video of him arguing about the weight of his crack cocaine with the prostitute is amazing. He got it on the scale, and he got the numbers on it, and they arguing about how much it is. And I was like, man, Come on, dude. So I don't know if they I don't know about that. I don't think they're as bad as Hunter Biden, man. But yeah. So but you're right. They rush into things today, and it's so much about image and social media. It's not even really about the person anymore. When it comes to relationships today, it's all about this putting on a persona and putting on stuff for social media and for people and things like that. They say women are dating men's wallets today, and men are dating women's beauty in their body. Yeah, that's what it is. Especially when you get up there. I mean, why is she there? Why is that girl dealing with Miles Bridges? Why is the lady dealing with Tim Anderson? We know why they're dealing with them. And then why is Miles and Tim dealing with them? We know why. That's what it is.
Yeah, I tell you.
Yeah. He said, I'm down here in Australia. We know all about it. Oh, y'all know about Hunter Biden in Australia? Yeah, that story went viral, man. Yeah, that was all over the place. That crazy story, man. Duh. Yeah, that dude's off the chain. But man, we're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna put a pin in it. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Reid? Got Jaguars training camp coming up. I'm excited about that, and we're gonna get out to some of these games, man.
Yeah, we're gonna get out to something. I'm just, I mean, it's a different situation for me, but it is football season, and I'm gonna be keeping up with them, and from the things that I saw in the spring and OTAs, and I think the fans here in Jacksonville have a reason to be optimistic. I think things are moving in the right direction, and I don't know if it's gonna be 9 wins, 10 wins, or anything like that. But believe me, man, 6, 7, 8. If it's 9, it'll be a lot better than 3-14 from last season. So and a lot of things about Trevor Lawrence making the jump. So it's a lot of interesting storylines out there, man. And just I'm looking forward to this new life, new career. And but I'm always gonna have passion for sports, man. And enjoy talking about it with my man here, man. I got to see what that shirt is, man. Hold that shirt up, man.
Oh man, yeah, that's the Rugrats right there. Yeah, that's Rugrats. That's Reptar right there. Yeah, Rugrats, old cartoon. We used to watch that back in the day on Nickelodeon.
All right.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. You say Troy Lee, say good show, subscribe. Hey man, I appreciate that, Troy.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, so me and Mr. Reid will be back next week. I'll be doing my videos, of course. I got a couple different topics I'm gonna go through this week, little short videos that I'm gonna do. But me and Mr. Reid will go live next week, sometime later on in the week. We'll have a set time, and I'll put out the notification to let everybody know, man. So, but until next time, man, I appreciate. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all my social media. You can follow Mr. Reid on Twitter. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. But until next time, we are out of here, man.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace out, y'all.